Your president is watching. America is watching. But more important, Godfather is watching. Make no mistake, there will be no fuck-ups. Marines around this world would give they left nuts to be where you are. Anybody not want to go? Marines, kill on 3. 1, 2, 3, kill!
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another 4-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation, and this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much the whole world knows it. The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors. Honestly, she should be locked up. The most powerful weapon deployed by the Clintons is the corporate media, the press. Let's be clear on one thing. The corporate media in our country is no longer involved in journalism. They're a political special interest, no different than any lobbyist or other financial entity with a total political agenda, and the agenda is not for you, it's for themselves. Anyone who challenges their control is deemed a sexist, a racist, a xenophobe. They will lie, and then again, they will do worse than that. They will do whatever is necessary. The Clintons are criminals, remember that. This is well documented. And the establishment that protects them has engaged in a massive cover-up of widespread criminal activity at the State Department and the Clinton Foundation in order to keep the Clintons in power. They knew they would throw every lie they could at me and my family and my loved ones. They knew they would stop at nothing to try to stop me. Nevertheless, I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so that we can have our country back. I knew this day would arrive. It's only a question of when. And I knew the American people would rise above it and vote for the future they deserve. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. Our great civilization has come upon a moment of reckoning. I didn't need to do this, folks, believe me. I built a great company, and I had a wonderful life. I could have enjoyed the fruits and benefit of years of successful business deals and businesses for myself and my family, instead of going through this absolute horror show of lies, deceptions, malicious attacks. Who would have thought? I'm doing it because this country has given me so much, and I feel so strongly that it's my turn to give back to the country that I love. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.
Man, yes, we will. And welcome to Cold War Radio live from the Allegheny National Forest, studio number 2, in amongst the mountains and streams. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr., alongside the mighty Allegheny River. Please follow me on Spreaker, ladies and gentlemen. Like the Facebook page, facebook.com/Cold War Radio 22. The email is scrtv@live.com. The Cold War Radio patron hotline, 412-206-6208. If you're listening to the podcast and you'd still like to be on the phone, send us a voicemail at 412-567-1460. The podcast is available just about anywhere that has podcasts. You can catch the show in the morning at the 405media.com. Go to iHeartRadio On Demand, the Cold War Radio app, YouTube with captions. If you're on Twitter, and I'm not currently until Monday, I think, Monday or Tuesday, use the hashtag Cold War Radio and be connected with other listeners. Please go to SteelCityResistance.com. You can become a Cold War Radio patron and decide what we're worth every month for what we do. Catch the research room there, the video page. If you want to write to the program, please write to Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 10433, 370 Castle Shannon Boulevard, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15234. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to Northern Virginia and welcome Jack to the program. Hello, Jack.
Hey, Hutch. It's been a slow week. Hey, I wanted to thank your Pittsburgh Pirates for helping secure the Washington Nationals wild card slot. It's a long season of baseball, and the postseason.
They're in their final series with the Reds. Thank God. This was a painful one. Say a few words. I want to go shut this fan off.
All right, yeah. Like I said, I was joking about it being a slow week. Obviously, we've got a heck of a lot to talk about tonight, and I see that the chat room and Spreaker for Cold War Radio is booming once again. If you are a new listener and you haven't joined Spreaker and jumped into the chat room, you are missing out on a lot of this show. Get in there. There's some of the brightest folks in the United States and across the globe in there right now, ready to discuss the product.
That's a fact. Yeah. I think that's I'm not going to say it's unique because I've been in other chat rooms. I know our chat room kind of built off some other ones, but we have the party line on Sunday, and we're getting ready to have, thanks to Rocky, a party line that focuses on food. Not sure where it's going to go yet, but we're thinking about that. So,
hey, the food, that's always a good subject to, we dive into all the deep and darkness of politics and whatever. I mean, it's always good to just take a break and talk about something to get the endorphins going and talk about food. Everybody loves food. Right?
Absolutely. And it shows the sharp contrast between patriots and leftists. They can't have fun no matter what they do.
You learn the difference between borscht and
right. There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me pull this reference up here. If I have it, I do. There's 2 more weeks until the Values Voter Summit. Not a whole lot of interest yet. I understand that it's the end of the month. I got that, man. I understand. But we've got 2 weeks until this Values Voter Summit, and we're going to decide next week on whether we're going to continue to go through with it. We have $10 out of $500 that we need so far. But this starts on 11th of October, and let me just tell you the potential that we'll have here if we send Mona there. Here's a list of the speakers: Bill Bennett, Bridget Gabriel, David Horowitz, Dana Loesch, you can keep her, Mark Meadows, Eric Metaxas, James O'Keefe, Oliver North, Steve Scalise, Todd Starnes, Ali Stuckey, and President Donald Trump. So if you're interested in that and you'd like to have Cold War Radio represented there, go to steelcityresistance.com and hit the donate button. All donations will go toward sending Mona to the Values Voter Summit. And after that, then we will talk about CPAC. But let's get over this hurdle first. That's a good group of people, Jack, to get on the program. Now, nothing's guaranteed.
Yes.
Nothing's guaranteed.
And war's been declared, right? War has been declared. It's the battle lines have drawn, and this is the first gathering of conservatives right now after this assault against the United States. And I think it might be very important to have Mona get there. So hopefully, if you have the opportunity and you can support, please donate.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself though. Please don't do that. That's never been our. This is not here. This operation is not here to make money. I mean, I don't mind money, but it's not. That's not why we're on the air, because it definitely wouldn't be worth it.
We want to save this country. That's why I'm here.
Me too. I mean, and that's why we keep doing it, and that's why we kind of shape our life around the show a lot. We're lucky to have support in the family, and I'm sure the co-hosts are the same way. I thank my wife all the time for giving me the latitude to be able to do this. All right, so there's that. Incidentally, the intro today, I was listening to Rush Limbaugh, and once again, he said he had this audio clip he wanted to play, and nobody'd ever heard it, and it was from I think he said it was August or April 2016 or 2017 or something. And I heard him starting to play clips of this, and I'm like, hey, that's one of my intros, man. My people heard that. I heard that a bunch of times. That's what you heard at the beginning of the show, something that Rush Limbaugh broke today on his show, and I'm sure you could probably almost say the words right along with it. You've heard it so many times because it was a good speech. I mean, that outlines everything. This guy knew about it all, for years.
Laid it right out on the table, and that is exactly the attack that's upon him now. This fake impeachment inquiry, which isn't an impeachment inquiry, and we know the whole thing is a wag the dog episode. You notice they're going home for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, they're going to be putting their finger up in the wind to see what people are feeling.
Exactly. They want to move that little vote counter one way or the other and then decide whether they're going to vote to do this because they've already voted 3 times and all 3 times have failed, right?
Yeah, and this is what I'm going to do right now tonight. I want to lay out a little bit of a strategy. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to suggest to you, forget about the House. The House doesn't mean anything. You know, if the House votes to impeach the president, that's a pure Democrat political thing so they can get the little asterisk next to his name, the impeached president, right? Don't fall for that. I'll tell you where we need to pay attention, and that's the Senate. Don't worry about, forget the House. The House is a lost cause until the next election. But I want to ask you something, because I feel that we're getting played pretty bad here. I really do. You know, when you think of what are household names, chairman committees or chairmans of committees, what are some household names that you hear? Everybody knows Adam Schiff. Everybody knows Nadler. You know, people are starting to know Swalwell. But, you know, one thing that I noticed is that we have control of the United States Senate. Lindsey Graham is the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. Where are the subpoenas? Roy Blunt, Rules of Administration. Where are the subpoenas? Select Committee on Intelligence. Richard Burr, Republican North Carolina. Where are you? You know, I mean, and there's other committees that could possibly get involved in this, but none of them are. Jack, why is that?
Well, I think right now the Senate is on the wait and see. I would like this to hear from Burr because he is addressee from this whistleblower that the complaint that came out. When you see the paperwork,
he's the most deep state. He's the most deep state senator in the intelligence community.
Yeah, I'm like, if Schiff received this shortly after August 12th, then Burr received it shortly after August 12th. I haven't heard a peep out of him.
No.
Now, the rest of the Senate committees, I think they're going to lay low on this because this is the House's purview as far as impeachment, you know? They're the ones running around with their heads cut off, doing all this impeach. The Senate and the Republicans handle the Senate. The Senate is not going to do the same thing that the House does. The House look like idiots a lot of the time, and the Senate are the ones that's supposed to be like the adults in the room. So that's probably why you're not seeing too much activity. You do see Lindsey Graham out there a lot talking
not doing anything.
Not doing anything.
He's like Trey Gowdy.
They're not calling for hearings, but Gowdy was in the House too. So you got to separate the two entities.
You do,
right?
but you said it at the beginning. This is war, and we have two entities. We have the executive branch and we have the Senate. And if it's war, and these people all decide, you know why they're deciding to lay back? Think back to Richard Nixon. They did the same damn thing to him. You know,
Nixon was guilty of something. This is a railroad job trying to.
It's not that much different. It's a little bit different, but it's not that much different.
No, it's a lot different because they're trying to cover up what one of the candidates on the Democrat side did. Biden and his son, all of that thing. Even the media was reporting that earlier this year. The same stuff that the president was asking the president of Ukraine about. It was because he read it in the New York Times and saw it on the news that these left-wing publications were putting out this information. He's like, hey, let me ask this president. I don't think he should have done it personally one-on-one like he did, but he did. You know, he's like, hey, I'm reading about this, and people want to know, is this stuff true? What's going on here?
What did Richard Nixon do?
Nixon had tapes, and he was part of the plan.
He didn't do anything. His people did it. His people broke into the DNC.
He had full knowledge of it.
After it. But the point is, my point is not that. I don't want to get mixed up. My point was comparing the Republicans back then to Republicans now. If 20 Republicans go down in the Senate, Trump's gone. Just think about that. That's what I'm getting at. 20.
Well, I know that. Yeah, I know that,
So-
but I don't think it's
so-
going to get there right now. And I hate to jump on you, but
No,
I
that's
think
fine.
right now,
I can take
I think you've got enough point men on the Republicans on the congressional side. You got Meadows, you got Jim Jordan out there, and then you've got a few folks in the media side, especially on Fox News angle. I haven't seen OA and NN, but you've got them basically pointing out how silly this is for the Democrats to just run home for these 2 weeks and basically, with the media's help, saying impeach, 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 impeach.
They could impeach him for wearing the wrong tennis shoes.
Right.
There's no legal standing that they have to meet to be able to impeach him.
Yeah, they have to decide if that's the hill they're going to stand on
Right.
when they do it, right?
And then it goes to the Senate, and there's fake news out about that Mitch McConnell said will take it right to a trial. He said that months ago. That was not new news.
And last week, or during the shows last week and this week, you were saying, hey, is this the Democrats basically putting Biden out there
That's part of it. That's part
as
of
a
it, for sure.
sacrificial lamb? So he's gone as they're trying to get the president. So they're going to go back for these 2 weeks, and they're going to talk to their voters, and they're going to try and move that needle, like you said, to see if they're going to get enough bump as you go to Thanksgiving to push this one step further and have a vote.
Now let me go back to what I was talking to about the Senate.
Okay.
All right, and it doesn't have to be about this impeachment. That's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about anything. I mean, we still have not got justice for Benghazi, Jack. We haven't got justice for Fast and Furious. The Republicans sit back and cool out on everything, and we miss every opportunity to mete out justice that people want. You know, the things that Biden did, what about the other three senators? What about Menendez and the rest of them? Murray, I think or Murphy.
Murphy, yeah.
You know, these things are going on, and you listen to Fox News, and it's like, if you're at Fox News, why do you have to bring on Ed Rendell? I mean, unless you are blissfully ignorant to anything that's going on around you, and you can be totally subjective on this, I don't see how you can. Objective, rather. I don't see how you can. When you see it, we know more than they know. When you hear them talk,
Right.
you know, they're stunned by stuff we heard 2 days ago.
Even the material about Biden, they're acting like, wait a minute, you know.
Exactly. And nobody's talking about it, and there's no subpoenas. This dude made $50,000 a month. I made that for a year, and I was happy.
Right. And you're talking $50,000 a month. This guy, and this was
This is a
just
crackhead.
after-
This is a crackhead that got kicked out of the United States Navy. He was a United States naval officer that failed a drug test for cocaine.
And
then-
he was helped to get into the Navy by his dad at the age of 37. Lasted 6 months, and then was busted. And then almost a few months later, that all of a sudden he's a on-call energy board member for Burisma.
And you know
Nice.
what else? You know what else doesn't get talked about? Who was his partner? John Hines.
Gary's son.
Who's John Hines? John Kerry's stepson.
Uh-huh.
And he's not even ever mentioned in the halls of Fox News.
Look, you got anything with the left and the past administration. Now, it could also go, because I've always said that the last 50 years of the government, there's the swamp. That's what we're trying to get rid of. So you got the Bushes involved in it. But the Clintons with Haiti, what happened to Haiti with the help for Haiti? 98% of the money never went down there to help them. Who was in charge of that? Bill Clinton, the Clinton Foundation. Who enriched themselves? Hillary's brother, Rodham, got the diamond mine thing. I mean, all kinds of this.
The cell phone towers. And
You talk about corruption. It's just laid
where's the
out.
Senate? Where's the Senate? Why don't they do something? Why are they there?
Maybe they're partially involved in it because
point.
I mean,
That's
if
my
you
point.
can, yeah,
That's my
if
point.
you can sit there and they're not going to sit there and protect a guy that's making $50,000 a month for nothing unless they're making some money themselves. Don't you think?
You got the president of the United States that sailed into Pennsylvania and won Pennsylvania, and you have the senator from Pennsylvania that won in Pennsylvania, the Republican Senator Pat Toomey, and the president of the United States got 19,000 more votes than Senator Pat Toomey. And what is Pat Toomey doing when his president is out there on the battlefield by himself, crafting legislation with Manchin about gun control? That's what he's doing. Not a word to protect the president, never had a microphone. All these Democrat sleazebags are all over the place. Protecting or coming out with their case on television. Not nary a Republican except for Meadows and Jacobs. You know, you don't see anybody else. Maybe Lindsey Graham. He's starstruck. That's all he is. Now, I want to bring something to your attention, ladies and gentlemen. Because I got to tell you, I've been watching this coverage lately on Fox. And some of the questions that are being asked and some of the angles that are being taken by some of these people don't smell right to me. They do. I've been watching Fox for a long time. And they just do not smell right for me. And I'm not talking about Tucker Carlson. But as you're going to talk about later in the show, there's some civil disturbances going on at Fox News. But I want to highlight something that I didn't really pay attention to. I knew it, but I didn't really pay as much attention to it as I should have. This is a story that's caustic, as usual, by Jim Hoft at the Gateway Pundit, but the guy's got like a 95% accuracy rate with these kind of articles. Skunk Paul Ryan is embarrassed by Trump, pushes Fox News to break from the president. Paul Ryan never liked Donald Trump. Paul Ryan repeatedly lied to President Trump and the American public. Paul Ryan wanted to be the Republican leader, and he lost it thanks to Donald Trump. Paul Ryan still hates Donald Trump. After leaving office earlier this year, Never Trumper Paul Ryan joined the board of Fox News. Now Paul Ryan is pushing Fox News to dump Trump. The Raw Story reported, a new report from Vanity Fair describing the chaos inside Fox News, where Ryan serves as a board member, reminded readers that he's still something of a player in conservative politics. And according to the report, written by journalist Gabriel Sherman, Ryan is now, after having given up all his constitutional power, finally interested in standing up to the president. The report describes the behind-the-scenes crisis emerging at Fox, which has been thrown into turmoil as the Democrats' rapid impeachment push knocks the network off kilter. Most dramatically, that disruption has played out in an on-the-air feud between host Shep Smith and Tucker Carlson. More to follow on that. Sherman found that Fox News CEO Suzanne Scott and President Jay Wallace felt compelled to intervene and tell Smith to back off, though a spokesperson for the network denied this claim. The report continued. The ultimate referee of this fight will be Lachlan Murdoch. In recent months, Rupert's oldest son has been holding strategy conversations with Fox executives and anchors about how Fox News should prepare for life after Trump. Among the powerful voices advising Lachlan that Fox should decisively break with the president is former House Speaker Paul Ryan, who joined the Fox board in March. Paul is embarrassed about Trump, and now he has the power to do something about it, an executive who's spoken with Ryan told me. Ryan did not return a call seeking comment, but a person more sympathetic to Trump has told Lachlan that Fox should remain loyal to Trump's supporters, even if the network has to break from the man. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. So when you're watching, I'm not telling you what to watch, but when you're watching, understand what you're watching, and understand that nobody up there, short of maybe Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and maybe the woman on after him, I can't remember her name. Anyway,
Laura Ingraham.
Yeah, Laura. McCollum is gone. Martha McCollum might as well be a Democrat.
Yeah, but you hear what you just read is basically what we've been talking about and what you've been talking about for years, and what Stacy brought up, right? All of the media is ruled by what, 6 boardrooms?
That's it.
And here you have,
and getting smaller.
And here you have Paul Ryan, the never Trumper Paul Ryan, who's now a board member of Fox News, trying to change it. What do you mean a news station is leaving a person?
Can you imagine if this traitor?
Aren't they supposed to report the news?
Can you imagine if this traitor Paul Ryan would have been for his country and not for whoever he's for? Can you imagine what we could have got done?
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's unbelievable.
He had the power and the opportunity, and he was, remember Bali like 10, 11 short years ago. He was the next coming.
He was in my yard. He was in my yard. Romney Ryan. The campaign sign.
Coming. He was going to be the
he was the best tax guy.
Around.
He was the guy that knew the numbers on the tax code, and he was going to do all this. He was going
to stop the frivolous spending, tighten the budget, and get the deficits turned around the other way. Never happened.
Let me tell you where we are right now. We're getting played, folks. We're getting played by a fake team. We think we have a team, and we don't. I would not be surprised. I mean, I don't think they can get to 20, but I guarantee you that Mitt Romney will vote for impeachment, for conviction. I guarantee you Ben Sass will too.
He's already said Sass. You got Burr. I don't think he's up for re-election. I think he's not seeking re-election. So we already know him. And he's what?
The thing about Burr, the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, is that's the most powerful committee in Congress, is the Senate
Gang of 8
Select Committee on Intelligence. And your guy's in there too. Mark Warner's the minority member.
He's not my guy, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Virginia.
From my state.
Yeah. So you have to understand this. You're going to hear several people. Well, let's just listen to it right now. We're going to talk about war. Let's listen to John Voight.
War. This is war against truths. This is a war against the highest noble man who has defended our country and made us safe and great again. Let me stand with our president. Let us all stand with our President Trump in a time of such evil words trying for impeachment. This is a crime that the left are trying to force. This is a disgrace by such ignorant followers that have no truth of what truly has been brought back to our country. We have gained greatness. We have gained jobs. We have gained more than any president has promised. This radical left are destructive. Their codes of what is supposed to be are corrupt with lies, deceits, and anger. And we ask why. We ask, how can a human being have such anger toward the greatness of our country's glory? I'll tell you why. Because for so long their anger has been growing, and with such deep pain, with no open heart of loving and seeing the truth. The truth of what truly matters is the productivity of what was promised, and what we, the American people of the United States, were promised and have received. And what does the radical left do for such greatness? They want to destroy. They want civilization to be run like a corrupt ring. I say, stand now with Trump. Let truth prevail, and may God show all the truth, that we are truly a nation stronger because of our president. The left are afraid, for their power is lessening with every deal that is accomplished by Donald Trump. In the name of God and his power for this nation, let us stay strong and without such evil among us. God bless.
I mean,
Amen.
So true, so true. And let's talk a little. Let's talk about this historically. In the 1850s and early 1860s, there was turmoil in the Congress as there is today. It was a different issue. We have several issues: illegal immigration and the wall, and several other issues. The combating of socialist movements into our government, political correctness. In the 1850s, they had slavery. And you had the Democrat Party fully for slavery, and you had the Whig Party fully against, in words only, slavery, but never did anything, kind of like the Republicans today. It's amazing to me that they can't recognize the similarities between the Whigs before they were ousted and the Republican Party now. It's amazing how close it is.
But there's one big difference, huge difference, is today you have a completely bloated, unelected bureaucrat swamp in D.C. that didn't exist back then at 1850. Remember back then, it was more towards you come to D.C., you pass your budget, you spend your 2 months in here, you pass all the bills, you go back home and do your job. Now it's a full-time job, and you have millions of people that nobody voted for at all that have risen up from the bottom that are pulling buttons. A couple of them got ousted, Clapper and Brennan, but those are the types that are still seated all throughout the Beltway. Those are the ones that are right now desperately trying beyond pale to oust this president on BS charges.
But you still, my similarity remains when I say we have a party that is not true to what its supporters think they are. The Republican Party is not what a lot of Republicans think it is. Because if it was, we control the Senate, Jack. I mean, every single House hearing that has happened could be replicated, if not on the same subject matter, but there's enough provable crimes that have been committed in the last 4 or 5 years to have some real Senate hearings. But nothing. Because that's not what they're about.
Right. You know that as we had said before, it's always a dog and pony show with any hearing within any congressional unit. What we have here is a failure of our law enforcement agency, the Department of Justice, to bring justice for America against these.
There's a good hearing right there. I'm all for that. But I'm saying my point is you've got a whole lot of people like me. Now, I'm looking at it a little differently, so it doesn't affect me as much. But I guarantee you there's people out in our audience right now that are enraged about the injustice that's going on and the complacency of these Republicans. I honestly think, and I hate to say this, I know there's some good ones, but these people are running out the clock, man. That's my opinion. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. It looks like something that I don't know how we're supposed to win this fight. I'm going to talk about that. Let's bring Ken into the conversation. Hello, Ken from Virginia.
Ken.
Hey, what's going on, Jack and Hutch? So, like I said, I listen to a lot of stuff all day long. And Mark Levin brought up a very good point this afternoon, where if you look at all the heads of these committees in the House of Representatives, they're from L.A. You got Schiff from L.A. You got, where the hell is Nadler from New York? You know, all the big cities. You know, where the hell is the representation from the Midwest or, you know,
in the Senate
down in Texas? No.
It is. Because there's only 2 from every state. Nadler, California, and New York get preference because they have 20 representatives. You know, the Midwest has 1 or 2 because of population. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
But anyways, and you know, one of the guys I listen to, and I've been on 2 cruises with him before, Chris Plant. He always says, you know, the left They are the vanguard of third worldism.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
I believe him. You know, I mean, everywhere
I
they
do
go,
too.
that's all they do is they want to destroy anything they touch. NFL. Yeah.
And they're doing a good
Well, if
job at it.
Yeah, well, if you look at their agenda, you look at some of the things. The whole plan is to separate, have a ruling class and a class that's below them. That the government gets to decide whether they live, they die, they work, whatever, procreate, everything. They want to control us. I mean, we're just the regular folks, right? Flyover country. They don't care about us. They don't want us to be self-sufficient. They want us to be hand and to the knee to beg them for whatever we get and whatever they allow us to have. And a lot of these folks within the government, especially these young communists, the squad types, think they're the big rah folks. They're going to be the first ones that are going to be sent behind the woodshed, just like Hitler did. Once his brown shirts job has been completed.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, you're spot on right there, Jack. I mean, and this is why we need to learn history. I had we went on a trip, and one of the gals I worked with, we stopped at a McDonald's out in Warrenton. We were actually on our way up to Gaithersburg, Maryland, but we stopped at McDonald's out there to get breakfast and everything. And I walked back, and I was shocked that they actually had Fox News on the TV as opposed to CNN.
Wow.
And I knew it would set her off. I was like, look, they don't even have a Commie News Network on out here. Boy, she about blew a freaking gasket and started throwing all this Nazi shit out. And I'm like, okay, skirt. I said, we're an hour and a half away from D.C. on a good day without traffic. I said, you need to take your ass up to D.C. I think it's on 16th Street at E. They got this thing called the Holocaust Museum up there. You might want to check that out before you just start throwing out the word Nazi. And she shut the fuck up. I mean, yeah.
That's all right. I wanted to tag anyway. Hey, let me ask you something, Ken. Let me ask you your opinion on something. Now, we found out yesterday, actually, I did. It made a little bit of waves today, but it didn't really get reported with the finality that I heard it reported on yesterday. That first of all, the whistleblower is not a whistleblower, but the intelligence community changed the definition or the parameters of qualifications to be a whistleblower from first-hand knowledge, and they took that out. And now this guy's got third-hand knowledge, and he's a whistleblower, and the reason he's a whistleblower is because there's all kinds of protections afforded to whistleblowers. And every person that comes out from now on is going to be called a whistleblower because of that. But we find out that he's a CIA officer that was attached to the White House.
And the funny thing you mentioned that, Larry O'Connor was talking about that when I was riding home on the way from work, and I actually pulled up the there's a good article in the Federalist, and I'll see if I can find it again and post it in the chat that explains all this, because somebody had mentioned it to him. I think he had who did he have on? Larry Kudlow. I believe, I forget who the guest was, but he brought it up, and then Larry went and looked it up, and then he spent, like a 15-minute segment talking about this article in the Federalist. So I'll see what I can do to find it.
Give us the gist of it. Give us the gist of it anyway.
But essentially, they made changes in August to this paperwork, whistleblower paperwork. The way you could file that you didn't have to have firsthand knowledge of whatever incident. You could hear it second, third hand, or whatever, and that becomes legitimate. Okay, we'll believe you, whatever you put in this report.
All right. Well, let
Now,
me get to the
everybody-
reason. Let me get to the reason why I said that, because I thought you were going somewhere else with that. I thought you were going to debunk the report, and I was going to change course about about him being a CIA officer. I heard it from somebody I trusted.
Right. So now all of a sudden, it comes out this guy is a CIA agent that with a plant in there to do whatever the CIA is doing when it comes to the president and making sure he doesn't do anything out of the ordinary.
Here's my question: Can we beat if the intel community, if Senator Richard Burr, who is one of the people that has been blocking the president in a lot of areas when it comes to the intel community, if the actual and I think Adam Schiff's office, I think you're going to find out that a lot of this comes from his office, probably in coordination with intel people. This CIA officer was apparently one of Brennan's proteges. Can we beat the intel community if we have to? That's my question. Are we so far into the deep state and into this foggy bottom madness that novels are written about all the time? As Senator Schumer said, you shouldn't have ticked off the intel community. They got 6 ways from Sunday to take you out. If we have a CIA officer that started this, and we're going to talk about a little later if we get to it, this complaint was presumably written that so that the when you look at the letter, at the document, it came from a law firm that knew exactly what the impeachment strategy was because it complements it every sentence. So Schiff had to be involved in this. Plus, he had it since August. So did Burr, by the way, like Jack said.
And that's when this change to this, whistleblower document.
Imagine that.
Just mysteriously happened was in August. So, call me a conspiracy nut, put my Alex Jones hat on right now, but,
Well, just think about it.
Stinks.
It does. That's why I brought up the wigs. That's why I brought up the wigs. How long are we going to be the patsy and continue to wait for next week for something? How many weeks? This is episode 782, Ken.
Oh, yeah.
We've been talking about stuff like this since episode 1.
It's a little frustrating, when you've got all of this evidence out there that we know. So
every show.
When Schiff goes up there with this supposedly, the transcript and the whistleblower complaint, and he opens the hearing of the seriousness of an impeachment inquiry, and he opens it up with a Hollywood script rendition of what he thinks was the call between President Trump and the president of Ukraine. He can't just read from the script. If it's so damning against the president, why isn't he reading the evidence before him? He's not. He has to make it up.
And what mob boss did you ever see use the word reciprocity? There ain't a mob boss in the country that ever used that word.
Yeah, and Trump always says, "Do me a favor, do me." On half of his speeches, he's like, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor?" Damn, you just made me forget what I was talking about.
I'm good.
Go on. I'll get it back. Go ahead.
All right, Ken, your final thoughts, brother. What's up?
So last night I went up to this. They've got basically a meet the candidates form, and I was kind of shocked that the 2 senators, Republican senators, and our Republican incumbent delegate didn't show up. But I was kind of disappointing. But the one Pakistani Democrat that's looking to run for Senate down here, yeah.
let's just
Well, on the T,
let's
on
just
the T side,
let's just go out and let's go get a tractor trailer of styrofoam cups, and let's go out in the woods and have a styrofoam cup campfire, man. I mean, it's unreal, man.
but
Go ahead.
So they offered the opportunity to, fill out a card if you wanted to ask a question. And since I got there kind of late and everybody was kind of doing their introductions, and they said, we probably wouldn't be able to get to everybody's question. I was like, okay, well then, but somebody had brought up the whole thing about these red flag laws. And right away, this guy's, oh yeah, I've seen this this poll in Virginia where 67% of Virginians. Now, I want to clarify this with Jack. Have you heard about this? 67% of Virginians agree with red flag laws.
Say what? I wasn't asked.
Yeah, I wasn't asked either. But
They must
apparently,
have-
this guy was using this statistic last night, and and then he wants to, just like Nancy Pelosi and all the rest of them, they're wrapping themselves in the Constitution, and shut up. You people are freaking lying. All right, you could care less about the Constitution because all you're looking for is power over the people, not power from the people. So, the minute you start violating my Second Amendment right is where you're wrong when you think you know the Constitution. So I ended up leaving. I came home and watched Crowder and laughed my behind off. Night was good. So, but that's pretty much my final thought. If anybody gets an opportunity to, see their elected officials, school board, go see these people that are running for your local, elected positions. See what their what their positions are on stuff.
And don't be afraid to contact your senator either. I did that yesterday. Pat Toomey had me so mad I contacted him. Now, one of the frauds of the transparency in the Congress is that if you do not live in a district of a senator or a Republican or a representative, you can't email them. At least not officially. They won't even pay attention to you. It doesn't matter if they're a chairman of the committee. The only ones you can talk to via email is your own representative. So give them a call. Tell them, hey, start protecting the president. Thanks for calling, Ken.
They must have changed
thanks for
that
calling.
filter, huh?
I don't know, but it's.
Hey, thanks, Ken. Yeah, they changed that filter because it used to be, remember? It was like contact your congressman, or they'd say, hey, this congressman here has put this bill up. Go talk to him. Now they're like, no, if you aren't from my district, I ain't talking to you.
So the big thing now is that, and I wasn't planning on making this the whole show. I really wasn't. But you almost have to. I mean, what's more important at this point?
Free flow
Yeah.
Friday.
What's more important at this point? The big deal now is they, since there was no quid pro quo, because the idiots jumped the gun before the document was produced. The new thing is, well, they locked it up. They put it under lockdown. They moved this thing. And, I mean, we all know, we all remember at the beginning of the administration, the embarrassment when the Australian and Mexican heads of state telephone communications with the president were in the press 30 minutes later.
Exactly.
And the president and his legal team put a stop to it. And former CIA officer and National Security Agency Chief of Staff, Fred Fleets, is suggesting that the whistleblower accusing President Donald Trump, this is not what I was expecting to say. Okay, so let me say that there is a former NSA official who said that this is normal. It was his job to handle presidential telephonic communication transcripts.
Loose lips sink ships.
Indeed.
And what happened is when he took office, you already had the roaches infested in there, and his phone calls with two heads of state were released to the media.
Right.
So what do? They start locking it down.
Yeah, they created a separate server. Absolutely. Right. But just to go back to that, since I said it already, and I had said this earlier, suggested that the whistleblower accusing President Donald Trump of misconduct had help from lawyers and House Democrats in crafting his complaint. And I believe that. And then right after that, Jay Sekulow, presidential attorney and former contributor to Sean Hannity's show, alleges that the whistleblower complaint was written by a law firm. And I believe that. I mean, it had footnotes and everything, man. It wasn't a whistleblower complaint. Let's go to California and welcome Sean. Hello, Sean.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hey, Sean. I got a beef.
Man.
I got a beef with you about your congressman Schiff.
My congressman's Mike Levin, the
Okay.
Democrat, communist. He represents the District of 49 now. And believe me, you're not the only one who's got an issue with this guy.
What's on your mind otherwise?
Oh, man. When I saw the news outlines of President Trump getting impeached, I'm like, that ain't going to happen. Now, you were right to point out that these senators, the Rhino Republican, that's my biggest concern. What are they going to do?
Mine too.
Are they going to just say, oh, okay, you know what? If we're not up for election, let's just vote with the Democrats and impeach the guy?
You know, let's do a little exercise here, and this is what scares me. There's only 100 senators, 2 from every state. There'd be 114 if Obama was right and there was 57 states, but there's only 50. So there's 200 senators and there's a vice president who's the president pro temp of the Senate. Now, I'm going to go through a list of chairmen, and I'm going to bet that you haven't heard of half of them.
Probably not.
Pat Roberts, Richard Shelby, I've heard of him, James Inhofe, Mike Crapo, Michael Enzi, Roger Wicker, Lisa Murkowski, we've heard of her because she might as well be a Democrat, John Barrasso, Chuck Grassley, he's the oldest guy in Congress, James Risch, Lamar Alexander, he's retiring, Ron Johnson, who also should be out here saying something. He's in the Department of Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs chairman. John Hoeven, Roy Blunt, Chuck Grassley again, Roy Blunt again, Trader Mike Lee, Lindsey Graham, you've heard of him, Roy Blunt. He's the chairman of 3 committees.
I don't know how that works.
Johnny Isaacson, Richard Burr, Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio opens his mouth on all kinds of stuff. When's the last time you heard him talk about small business and entrepreneurship? That's where he's supposed to be working. And then, of course, Susan Collins on the Special Committee on Aging. And Johnny Isaacson again. But you never heard of half of those guys.
I can't hear you.
Some of them I heard of, some of them I haven't.
Right? I mean, yeah, you heard of some of them, but some of them I had never heard of. I never heard of a guy named Isaacson. Maybe that's just my ignorance. I don't know.
We got 100 senators and 150 committees. What's going on here?
And one guy gets 3 committees. What's that?
I don't understand how that works. How do you get 3? How do you get like 2 other positions in the same while you're in the same?
Do you want to know? Do you want to know the
Draw
answer?
the short straw.
Yeah.
No. I'll tell you the answer. I'll tell you the answer. You buy it.
Oh, there you go.
That's how you get. You don't get to be a committee chairman unless you pony up, and it's probably to the Republican Senatorial Reelection Committee. The same way with the House. You know, that's why people from California and people from New York end up with the chairmanships, because Paul Ryan was divvying them out, and if you were pro-Trump, I guarantee you didn't get a committee.
That's why when times of stress, you realize there's really not that much of a divide between the 2 parties.
I'll tell you, when President Trump, if you listen to that intro, and President Trump said, do you really want to be in a country that's free, or do you want to remain in one where it's just an illusion of freedom? And that's where we are right now with the Republican Party. And my point from the beginning is, if this is war, we might be smart if we started thinking about laying down the infrastructure for a new party. Because
I agree with
we're
that.
going to see, and it's dangerous because I don't have the timeline, but it took the Republican Party, it didn't happen in 1 year.
True.
It took years for them to oust the Whigs. And shortly after that, what did we have? The Civil War.
Yep.
It was deadly serious.
You had the beginnings of the third party, which was laughed off by the Republicans and demonized by the left, which was the Tea Party movement, which eventually got taken out completely by a weaponized IRS government, full-blown Obama put the kibosh on that movement. If you think about the Tea Party movement during that time, because we had these discussions then about the Republicans do nothing, and then here you had the Tea Party is like, boom, we're going to change the way we're going to do government, and it was laughed off by the Republicans, and then all of a sudden they went to D.C., what was it, 20, 30,000 people at the mall, and then all of a sudden things change. It's like, wait a minute, people are paying attention to these folks.
And then Glenn Beck got off his meds. And that was the end of that.
What happened to him? What happened to Judge Napolitano? I mean, both.
What happened to Mike Lee? Mike Lee's selling us. Right? He's selling us out. Now, right? Selling us the hell out to India. I mean, this guy. It's unreal. It really is. And also, don't forget, you had Trent Lott, a Republican Party hero, that said that we have to co-opt this Tea Party. And Dick Armey went in and did it.
Yeah.
You know,
that was after they ridiculed it.
Yeah.
At first they just said, this is nothing.
And then they said, we're going to be on your side. We're going to help you. And the next thing you know, it's dead. So that's just something to keep in your mind.
Absorbed it like an amoeba, right?
Yeah,
Boom.
absolutely.
It's right back into the swamp.
It is. And who'd we run for president? John McCain and Mitt Romney. That's our fault, man. That's just something that you look at those two people. Mitt Romney's one of the most despicable people, short of John McCain.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and we better be careful. We really should. And let me say something else. There's another guy like that, and his name's Lindsey Graham.
Yes.
Yep.
You better watch that guy. That guy's a phony.
Wolf in sheep's clothing.
And he's got
maybe a short dress and high heels.
I will say this real quick before I go. The left hates us because, did we give them a run for their money when it came to Trump visiting California?
That's good, though. But don't forget this, Sean. Don't forget this. The establishment Republican Party hates you more.
Yeah, I know that.
Believe me.
And I hate them more than they do.
Let's beat them. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
All right, Sean from California.
We need California to step up.
We do. This is war, man.
This is time, man.
It is. All right, where are we at here? Let's look down here. Another good thing that happened, Jesse Waters was the first one that brought this to my attention. This will be very critical in the case of a trial in the United States Senate, an impeachment trial. Actually, I don't know if it's called impeachment at that point. Impeachment is synonymous with indictment. So whatever the articles of impeachment are, they'll be tried in the U.S. Senate. And
they're trying to figure it out. They're making up their own rules.
The House will be able to assign prosecutors. The House is involved in it. Chief Justice Roberts will preside over it. But it will be good to know that there's a treaty that was signed by Bill Clinton that provides Trump solid ground to request assistance from Zelensky, that's the president of Ukraine, on the 2016 election or the Biden crime family. It doesn't really matter. So he's got legal authority in a treaty to do that. And although Bob Corker...
You're talking about the transcript of what they discussed during the call.
I'm talking about what he's allowed to talk about with the guy. We have a treaty with Ukraine that is law enforcement, we can communicate with each other and ask each other favors when it comes to law enforcement activity, bribery and other things.
Right?
It even calls out bribery, and extortion. So
I know, but the problem is that we should never even got to this point because the phone call is innocuous. Sure, the president probably could have had somebody else ask that president's law enforcement agency about Biden and his son, but short of that, it's not impeachable. No. It's not certainly not a favor held against weapons deliveries because none of that was mentioned. The only mention of weapons was the president of Ukraine said, we're almost ready to purchase some Javelin missiles, which has nothing to do with the aid.
And
that was in addition to it.
Thank you, John Roberts, for putting that out to the world. The Russians appreciate that, John Roberts. You were the first one to put that out and actually mentioned the anti-tank weapons. So good job, Fox News and John Roberts. You guys are colluding with Russia when it comes to Ukraine. I'll tell you, I'm getting mad as we go here. I'm getting ticked off.
Just the fact that they're putting out our executive leader of our nation's conversation between a leader of another country, that's supposed to be boom.
Would you call the president if you were a president of another country right now?
Hell no.
No, I wouldn't either. And if I did, I wouldn't say anything.
Right. So right there, you have folks within the intelligence agency through this whistleblower or fake whistleblower, third-hand knowledge with media reports to back it up. Give me a freaking break. Doesn't that sound like the Steele dossier? But to continue, now you have Congress, a separate branch of our three branches of government, trying to eliminate the executive branch's ability to execute its right to exist in our a three-tiered form of government. They're neutering the executive branch of our government right now.
Your thoughts, Marlene, from Eugene, Oregon.
Marlene?
Oh, hey, hello, Chuck. Actually, I think that these committee chairs, that's like bribery and extortion to me.
It's ugly. Whatever it is,
Big time.
It's ugly. Yeah, it's not in our favor.
No, it isn't.
Now, there was something that I've seen, but I have to temper this because I honestly believe that the Democrats, by and large, now individually you could challenge this, but by and large they're not stupid. They do some dumb things, but they know that there's no way that Joe Biden can carry his crackhead son and win over President Donald Trump. That's not going to happen. So I have to temper this. I've seen some correspondents on CNN and MSNBC that have it looks to me like they've had enough of this. That this is just too ridiculous for them to stand by. But then I think of Joe Biden. And I say, is it because of that? Is that the reason that they're doing this? That they're sounding like they're going to be honest reporters? Because we know they're not. But
oh no.
But anyway, anything for the cause.
Yeah. Speaking of Biden, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I will. There was an article in American Thinker about how little Madam Hildebeest is thinking about. She's considering she might want to run again. And then on top of that, she wants to make Biden the fall guy, just like she made McDougal the fall guy.
What about Sanders, man? Sanders has to be about half pissed off
Hillary?
Right now.
Yeah.
Holy no way. What did she?
Oh, she's back. She's back. She's back. She's got a full media schedule next week. She is back.
I heard some of the things she said, but as far as her trying to just jump back in to take another crack at that glass ceiling,
she will.
Are you serious?
Oh, who else is going to do it?
I know.
Elizabeth Warren? All the major Democrat donors already said, if Elizabeth Warren's in, we're out. Elizabeth Warren can't run.
Oh my goodness.
No.
I'm surprised Bernie Sanders isn't out there.
All crooks on deck. Everybody, let's go.
I know, mechanics. Get out of the motor pool, mechanics. It's time to go. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. I posted that link in the chat earlier if people want to read that. And one more thing from our neck of the woods out here. The wonderful people up in Portland, they were protesting their little brains out on, I guess, today, earlier afternoon. They're little poor crybabies talking about, what was it? Climate activists gather at Portland City Hall and demand Wheeler provide zero emissions plan, hardy har har, by 2025. There's this big protest plan with, a bunch of bands and the whole enchilada. And then I guess they're also saying they're upset with activists in Portland have spent 3 solid days holding a vigil at Zenith in hopes of stopping them from transporting, storing, and loading crude oil from the tar sands of Alberta, Canada. And then Sunday they're going to go up to Portland's waterfront and they're going to protest immigration. I'm like,
you know what we ought to do?
Don't they have anything else to do?
You know what we ought to do? What we ought to do with these people is we ought to gather them up and we ought to take them out to central Pennsylvania somewhere or northern Pennsylvania and put them out in the mountains, and we ought to give them a 5 kW generator, a portable heater, kerosene heaters, stoves, gas stoves, and we ought to give them 500 pounds of beans. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about the beans that are in the grocery store that you have to soak overnight in water.
The dry beans.
Dry beans.
Yeah.
But we should give them no gas. Don't give them any gasoline.
They need a knife.
Yeah, but no gasoline. You go ahead. You survive out there.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's going to be, by the way, it's going to be 42 degrees tonight.
An empty canteen, right?
I'm telling you.
Oh, and they need to have sporks to those little spoon fork gizmos to eat with. That's all they get.
A spork.
Watch how long their teeth last. Their teeth will last good trying to eat those beans. It's unreal. It really is. What else?
Basics.
What else is on your mind, Marlene?
Oh, I just saw another one. This is on, was it the 24, was it the Tea Party 24/7. We were talking about how Facebook is using their algorithms to promote Islamic terrorism. Basically, they're saying that they're using it as a recruitment tool, and of course, we conservatives get harassed, and Facebook just thinks the Islamic terrorists are the most wonderful people on the planet. I'm going, give me a break.
Yeah.
I was like, what else is new? But then again, it's another reason to kiss Facebook goodbye in some ways.
I don't have anybody else, man.
Hard.
I mean, I'm in Twitter jail. I couldn't even tweet the show. I got low.
Free Hush Bailey Jr.
No, go out and tweet the show. Go out and tweet the show because I can't. Usually I send it out to 5,000 people. But I haven't been able to the last couple episodes. Hey, Marlene, thanks for calling. Always love to hear from you.
Thank you, Marlene.
All right.
Hey, look at Hutch. You got him talking about soaking a pot of beans at John B.
There you go.
Talking about it. Got
I do. I made some Boston baked beans the other week. Man, were those good.
Country boys, ham hocks and beans. Boys, soak them
good
and
stuff.
slow cook them 8 hours.
In a Dutch oven is how I do it.
Yes. And they
That's
get you
good.
a nice home loaf of bread. Boom.
Just cut up
Call
some
me
hot
in the
dogs.
morning.
All right, so the New Yorker is going to ring in October with a new cover featuring Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani murdering Uncle Sam. That's what they're going to do, man. I mean, this is where we are today.
It's like reverse psychology. It's like projection. What is that? Alinsky or the?
I don't know. That's real. I know it's real, and it's everywhere, man. Anybody that knows about the concept of leftist projection, that is Alinsky. You're right. It is. Accuse them of what you're doing. That's true. I forgot
That's
about
exactly
that.
what they're doing.
I forgot about that rule for radicals.
It's exactly what Pelosi pulled. If you saw what she said about the Constitution. These criminals, these people that are trying to destroy our country, are trying to lay their claims on the blanket of the Constitution that they've been putting their feet on for the last 50 years.
The whole idea. And man, you know what I'm going to do this week? I'm going to go back and I'm going to figure out what date was the date that the first Russia. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do it because it was on the Wayne Dupree show. But I might have said something about it on here. The whole concept, when I first heard about it, was, hold on a minute, man. My whole life, I'm a Cold War soldier, right? As you are.
Right.
And I spent the first decade and a half of my Army career, as a young warrant officer told me when I was an old warrant officer, putting on camouflage paint, waiting in the wood line for the Russians. That's how he characterized my generation of soldier. And I know you did that. I know you put face paint on and went in the wood line and waited for the Russians, because I did too.
Waiting for them, and I would think it was transition time, but it didn't take long, right? They sent us right to the desert, and then boom.
That's it. In green uniforms.
Yes. With camo on. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute. Hello.
It was awesome.
Christmas tree standing out. Why would we put lights on ourselves?
And then all of a sudden there was paint shops everywhere, and everybody's painting everything sand, including the tires. Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, your weekly jihad report. 33 jihad attacks, 209 killed, 314 injured, 4 suicide blasts, all occurring in 10 countries. The religion of peace, atrocity of the week. Maputo, September 24. 12 people were killed late Monday in fresh attacks by suspected jihadists in northern Mozambique ahead of elections next month. Officials said 10 people were murdered in the village of Mubau in Moçambique de Praia district, and half of the homes in the locality were burned down, along with the offices of the ruling Frelimo party, a local official said on Tuesday. Jihadist attack in Burkina Faso near Mali border, 14 civilians killed. They entered the village and came across a group of young people who were drinking alcohol. Many were killed, the official Hassan Issa told AFP. Other recent misunderstandings of Islam. On the 25th in Nigeria, an abducted aid worker is beheaded in captivity by ISWAP. On the 24th in Afghanistan, the Taliban kill a child and a journalist with a roadside bomb. The 23rd in Mozambique, 10 young people are shot to death after fundamentalists discover them drinking alcohol. The 23rd, Mozambique, 2 farmers beheaded by Islamic extremists. On the 21st, in Israel, an elderly woman dies of injuries suffered from a Palestinian rocket attack the previous year. And finally, on the 21st, in Iraq, a family of 4 is murdered in their home by Sunni extremists. The religion of peace, ladies and gentlemen, one body at a time.
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
All right, there it is. Never a week goes by that we don't have material for the weekly jihad report. But Jim Jordan said it best.
You know what? You know what people want to know? They want to know when someone's going to jail. I tell people that's the question. More often than not, when I'm walking through an airport or something, people walk up to me. When is somebody going to jail for the wrongdoing that took place in the Trump-Russia investigation or even the Clinton investigation?
We're out here, ladies and gentlemen. We're waiting. Been waiting since we thought Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III was going to be the guy. Boy, was that a mistake. I wonder what he's doing now.
Hey, you notice what the Democrats are trying to do right now? They're trying to basically put Barr in the same cage they put Sessions in. They want him to recuse from this whole entire deal, don't they?
Absolutely. And this is, again, that's why his name's
the playbook.
out there. Yeah. I almost stopped from saying that the Democrats aren't stupid in my previous little rant. I was thinking as I was getting ready to say it, I'm like, they really are stupid though. When you think about it, I mean, can you imagine calling for impeachment before you see the document? I mean, how stupid is that?
The only thing I can think of is that we already know, we've documented, they're in cahoots with the mainstream media.
Oh, there's no question.
Very few in charge of it. So all of what they're pushing, the narrative goes out through their lens, which is definitely anti-Trump. And one of the articles, one of the points I was talking about when Schiff came out and did that on the House record, basically invented a conversation that didn't exist about the president and the president of Ukraine, and then decided to call it a parody when called on it.
That was unreal, man.
I read an article. Yeah, the article I read on it, I was starting to read through the comments, and here was a comment from somebody from the Netherlands said, "This is exactly what the news reported here." And then another place in the EU, a person posted, "That's what Schiff said in that opening statement is what the news said in another country." So there's at least two countries in the European Union that played his. You don't think
this is globalist?
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, you don't think this
saying.
Is about the whole world? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, you need to be ready. I don't know what the next move is. I don't know what the next step is. But I do know this. There's 36% of the country that calls themselves liberal Democrats. This is a freaking coup d'etat. This is a civil war. And we're losing. And the reason that we're losing is not because of any character flaw or anything like that. It's because of the way this thing is set up. And I would say, I would echo something that I didn't agree with when I first heard him say it. But Rush Limbaugh has said that the Democrats aren't running the media. The media is running the Democrats. And when you just said that about the 6 corporations, a light bulb went off in my head. And I realized those 6 corporations don't need the money. Those Democrats need the money. Who do you think's running this?
And you think about it, one of your stories with Paul Ryan on the board. One of the outlier media stations, which we've seen changes. So it's like the people watching know this. But here you have a board deciding whether they're going to be for the president or against him. I thought a news station was supposed to be a news station.
It's unreal. You know? I want you to listen to Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi. These people. Let me explain something to you here. Every time these Democrats denigrate Russia, okay, I know Russia's not our ally. I got that. But Russia is also not Iraq. Russia's packing some heat. And these Democrats, the way they throw accusations toward Russia, I mean, and if they were true, it would be different. Listen to Nancy Pelosi.
It is wrong for any foreign government to interfere in our elections. And here you have the President of the United States asking for that. So it is, again, now we're engaged in a cover-up of that, but the cover-up of the cover-up, 2 wrongs do not make a right. And the president's going to have to answer that, and they know how wrong it is. So it's wrong for as we saw with the Russian interference. And by the way, I think Russia has a hand in this, by the way. But we saw with the Russian disruption of our election last time, their interference, 100% confidence of the intelligence community, high confidence of the intelligence community that the Russians disrupted our election. That was wrong.
She's two pair of depends away from an old folks home. I'm sorry.
Check.
She's bad.
Holy mackerel!
She's
bad. They are so desperate. And one thing I would contract. You said we're losing this war. I think we're winning this war because. Do you know why? They are so desperate that they're pulling this charade. No, we are not losing this war.
Oh, no, hold on, Jack, because there are way more people in this country that are not engaged like you and I are. There are so many people out there that do not get anything but what Schiff said.
We need to do what we're doing. But the thing is,
it's a battle call. It's a battle call.
In 2016, we heard the same type things going on during that election where Trump, and a lot of us here listening, Trump was not our first choice at the time. But one by one, he just took out anybody. Boom, 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 bulldoze.
Let me say it in a different way then. When I said that we're losing, what I mean is we're not fighting very well. We're not fighting there's no reason why we cannot be as lethal as they are. This is the part that frustrates me the most. There's no reason why we can't force a story on CNN by perp walking some of these people. Where's our DOJ? It's like we don't have one, Jack.
We know that we've identified that the people that voted for Trump to get in there through his promises about exposing and get rid of the swamp. He's doing the best he can right now with zero help.
You don't think that AG Barr? You don't think that the Justice Department could convene a what's it called grand jury?
Right.
I could give you a dozen people they could convene a grand jury on that there's evidence against.
I had hope from the DOJ when Sessions was in there, and even though you spotted it from the get-go, I was always on his bandwagon. So with Barr,
don't get me wrong, I haven't lost confidence in Barr. But I'm saying
I have.
But I'm
never had confidence.
I'm saying we have to fight better. We have to fight better.
We are fighting.
Where?
Doing what we're doing right now.
No, you and I are. You and I. But I'm saying,
look at all the listeners coming in and folks and other venues and other outlets out there. I mean, sure, our voice is kind of even in the midst of all of the social media, the megaliths smashing you. You're off Twitter right now, probably speaking truth and honesty.
No, I was being sarcastic. I was being sarcastic.
You went over the line.
I did. But it was right now too, man. That stuff was instantaneous. It was like
you
now.
Can't be sarcastic in a free country.
But
come on.
I think that a criminal trial of anybody, man, anybody. Huma Abedin.
I know.
Somebody bring somebody out and give me some red meat, man. Calm me down.
Have you seen any of Rudy Giuliani's appearances this past week?
I have.
Where he's like chomping at the bit to get out information. And if you listen to what he said, he's like one of us on this show. He's like, I've got calls from people from Ukraine saying that I've been trying for 2 years to get information on this topic to your government, to your law enforcement agencies, and the Department of Justice basically does not want our information.
You're right. So while you're fired up, I want to ask you a question, and I asked Ken, but we moved on to another subject. Can we beat the intelligence community? If the intelligence community, including Chairman Burr, are ensconced in their hatred for the president and what he represents, which is the party's over, can we beat them? Is it possible?
Yes.
Good. How?
Yes, we can.
How are we going to? Because I was thinking about this. I really was. It's not a trick question. I was thinking, all right, if I was president, what would I do? And one of the things that I would do, or I would at least convene a secret meeting in a cave somewhere with no electronic devices. And I would say, Can we take the CIA and decommission it? Can we take the FBI and decommission it? Something big like that. Something needs to happen
or
like
elimination.
That's
reset or elimination, right?
Not only that, and move it to Butte, Montana.
How many years did our nation exist prior to the establishment of both the CIA and I think the CIA was after World War II it was invented, right?
The first the first federal prison was only built a little over 100 years ago because there were not enough federal crimes to warrant a federal prison. Think about that.
Because it was states' rights.
The federal government in federal criminal court has a better than 90% conviction rate.
But CIA is the aftermath of what was called the OSS during the war, right?
That's correct.
Am I right? And that was World War II. So you're talking the 40s. So you're talking 1940 to 1776, and then 1940s to 2018 or 2019, where we are today. And you had no CIA for going on 200 years, and then you have a CIA secretive doing whatever the hell they want for the last 60 years. Who's the cancer in this republic?
But so my point again is, what do you do? If I'm the boss, what do I do? And I recognize that. And what I'm going to guess is that the president has brought this up, and he's been shot down by everybody in the room.
I think he's working on it.
And Burr was probably in the room too.
Yeah, that's why Giuliani was out there at the State Department's request.
Right.
He went out to meet with the Ukrainians and all this. And actually, it got to the point last night. I saw him, I think it was on Laura Ingram's show. He actually said he's the
whistleblower.
That somebody's going to kill him for the information that he's gathered.
If it was anybody else besides
May.
Donald Trump would have already been killed. If it was anybody else, let's regroup and let's have a happy moment, and let's listen to former ICE Commander Homan.
Is there anything you'd like to respond to what you've heard today?
Yeah, I'd like to respond to Acting Chairman Jay Paul on your comment about the Trump administration moving money around for more detention beds. I'd like to remind you, under the Obama administration, we did that most of the years he was president. We moved money around. DHS is called reprogramming. We did that under the Obama administration. I don't remember any hearings on that. And also, I'd like to remind you that under the Obama administration, you're quick to point out that the cages were built under the Obama administration. I was there. Family detention, we had 100 family beds under the Obama administration. We built 3,000 more. So when there was a surge in FY14 and FY15 on the border, Congress was quick to give all the money we needed to build detention facilities, get transportation contracts. We reprogrammed money out of the majority of the years she was president. That was fine. Under Obama administration, FY12, we removed 409,000 people, half of what was removed last year. There was no hearings on that. So this is about transparency. Let's be factual about it.
The time of the gentleman has expired. Since you did address some comments at me, I'll just say that I didn't like it under the Obama administration either. In fact,
but be honest with the American people. You can't point out faults in the Trump administration when it happened under the Obama administration. That's dishonesty. It's pathetic and it's sad.
Mr. Holman, I control the time, and I am the chairwoman of the committee. Thank you for respecting that. I didn't like it under the Obama administration, and I'll remind you, Mr. Holman, that you also testified before Congress in support of the Obama's Priorities Enforcement Program before the Senate Judiciary Committee on May 19th, 2016, which had a very different approach.
Well, can I respond to that? Can I respond to that?
No.
Of course not.
And I want to give you some time, but I do want to ask one quick question, and I want to make one quick statement. I find it very offensive that anybody would compare any federal employee, frankly, to someone who, the Gestapo or running Nazi concentration camps. That is very offensive. I have 15 seconds and I yield it to you.
Thank you for saying that. I wish somebody in Democratic leadership would say that out loud. Look, You want to know why there's 50,000 people in detention? You want to know why we have 1 million illegal entries in the United States? You want to know why we have these issues? Because you have failed to secure the border. You have failed to work with this president to close the 3 loopholes.
Watch her get mad.
2 years to close. So if you want to know why this issue exists, you need to look in the mirror. You have failed American people for not securing the border and closing loopholes.
Mr. Homan, please respect the chair and the authority of the chair. The time of the gentleman has expired.
I've asked you politely to let me go beyond my time, and you let other people go beyond their time, but not to Tom Homan. He don't get to go beyond his time.
Mr. Homan, we have approved an agreement between the Republicans and the Democrats with the ranking member. We increased the time of one witness, one member of Congress who was interrupted by a protest. That is done with the approval of the ranking member. Please respect the chair's authority.
I respect the chair's authority, but the chair...
Mr. Homan!
You work for me. I'm a taxpayer.
Damn. Anger.
I'm a taxpayer. You work for me.
The witness will suspend.
She looks just like Rashida Tlaib, too. I'm telling you, that's who I thought it was at first. Me. Oh, yeah. You know, President Trump, Tom Homan, vice president. He could be next. He could be next.
Put him back. Yeah, put him back in charge. I mean, how many times is he going to be in front of a committee? I mean, it seems like almost every week there's another challenge between him and somebody.
They regret it every time, too. This is why I almost didn't say they're not stupid, because they bring this guy back. He's a rock star. You're not going to beat him. I mean, he's been out on the border his whole life.
Yeah, they're in desperation mode right now with this fake impeachment inquiry. It's not even that. It has to be voted on first. Like,
speaking
and the
of
whistleblower, when do you get to the point where you can sit there and gather a couple of news stories and have so and so talk to me and said this, and I'm going to compile it. I was not a witness to any of this, but I've got references, and somebody told me, and I'm going to do it on the whistleblower so nobody can know who I am.
Right, and here, Congressman.
By the way,
Congressman,
I did work in the White House for a couple of weeks.
And here, Congressman Schiff, go ahead and write this up for me.
Yeah.
You know, so it meets everything that you need. Yeah. Unreal. It's unbelievable.
His last name needs to replace the SHIT word in the dictionary, because I'm going to go take a shift in a couple of minutes myself.
We got a cancel culture situation going on at the Des Moines, Iowa Register, Jack.
This story, and I'm sure maybe some of the folks listening have caught this, but I wanted to bring something that had nothing to do with the MSM
with the last hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't mean, but you have to. You got to go.
No, we have. It's the big elephant in the room. You got to deal with it. But during that time, here's a story that could have been, 100% butterflies and unicorns. Great deal. I mean, but because of this current culture. Right, the cancel culture going on. Let me talk about it a little bit. Last weekend, a guy at a college football game created a sign and just happened to be behind one of the hosts of an ESPN college football show. Cool sign. He made it as a joke. It says Busch Light Supply needs replenished. He put his Venmo and then his account number underneath it. Boom. Good deal. Then he went and go watch the football game. Comes back, gets out the game, boom, and checks that thing, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, there's some somehow it went viral. I guess because he was on ESPN's college football show.
Everybody's drunk watching it, yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, my gosh, the guy, Busch Light Supply. Boom. Toss some money. But the money got to, it went viral, huge money. The guy said, I'm not, this is beyond, getting another case of Busch Light. I'm going to take this bounty. These people responded, and I'm going to donate it. So he picked a children's hospital in Iowa, and somehow InBev, which owns Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah,
now,
if you think that the media is bad, the American beer industry is owned by 3 breweries, and one of them's not even American; it's Belgian.
That's InBev, right? InBev owns Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah, you got InBev, you got Coors Miller, and there's
all those brands you thought were like,
half the craft beer brands aren't craft beer. Like Lukenfelder's, they're not. They're made at these big breweries. It is a shame.
But somehow InBev got hold of it. Is like boom, is a big feel good story. They got on board. They got in contact with the man's name is Carson King, and they hooked up. And they said, he's going to donate like $300,000 that was donated because of this Busch Light resupply sign, which is a great feel good thing. So they said, we're going to match it. Boom. They got in contact with him. They're going to do a promotional thing. They had Busch Light cans made up with his name on it in Iowa. It was going to be this great feel-good deal.
And then the Des Moines paper jumps in.
Des Moines Register reporter starts doing some digging and found out that Carson King, who's like 24, 25 right now, when he was 16 years old, a kid, a sophomore in high school, posted a couple of tweets that he thought at the time would be a funny joke in a ongoing Twitter thing between him and his friends. Well, it fell on its face. It was no big deal back then. And when he was in contact with the writer at the Des Moines Register, they told him about that. So he went and looked at it, and he's like, oh, my gosh. What this kid did, he basically preempted the article. He pulled both of them out, put out the bad tweets. They're considered racist, bad jokes, whatever. He posted them out there, apologized, pointed to some Twitter posts that he had posted since then, since he's grown up and become an adult, and said he's sorry that he had ever done it. He was a kid. He thought he was being funny, and he knows it was wrong. Something that, anyone listening that has done anything stupid, told a joke that probably wasn't the right thing back in the day, and then have it thrown up in your face when you're trying to do something so great, right? This is for kids at a children's hospital.
What did InBev do?
InBev, once this was announced, instead of backing this guy and acknowledging that, hey, we all grow up, we all do bad things, or we all can do some things that aren't, as we grow up, we do things that when we look back as adults, we're like, we wish we didn't do them. We're going to stand behind this guy because what we're doing right now is going to help children at the hospital. No, InBev said, we're going to give the $350,000 to the hospital, but we're severing ties with this guy. Boom. Leaving him in the shade.
But the rest of the story.
The good thing at the end is there was a celebration. I think it was in the town of Des Moines, or it was in the town in Iowa where the hospital is, that was getting this money from all the folks. The mayor of that place said, hell no, I'm not canceling this celebration for all this because of what he said as a kid and Twitter and apologized for it. No, boom. So they had a little celebration there, but it goes to.
Oh, you missed the end of the story.
Yo, go ahead.
The end of the story is somebody decided to dig into the tweets of the Des Moines Register reporter.
Yeah,
and he was fired.
Yeah, I mean,
within 24 hours. This is how ridiculous we are.
But that's karma. But I just don't think that any of that. I mean, well, if the guy's tweets was when he was an adult, that's one thing. The reporter, which I think those were way more recent. But
The problem
I don't know.
is
The
we are
generation right now-
straying so far away from our Constitution and our First Amendment rights that they're really not rights anymore. When you look at the world that we live in, Twitter, like it or leave it, is part of our world. But it is not American. It is anti-American.
It's robbing childhood.
I told a woman that accused me of being racist. First, I tried to explain what I was asking her, because I'm not a racist. And I'm never going to say that again, because F you. You don't need to ask me that.
I don't have to explain myself. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
I don't have to explain myself. That's exactly right. And I'm white, and I'm proud of it. And you can kiss my grits if you don't like that. But I said to her, no, I'm not a racist. And, you should look at this union and that union and what's going on. And you should look at what the city of Pittsburgh did to the blacks when they built the Civic Arena. And I mentioned a couple other things. And my last comment was, oh, yeah, and all white men must die. That's what I got kicked off of Twitter for 7 days. And they kicked me off within 30 seconds of tweeting that. So I think probably somebody ratted me out, probably, which is cool. But they said,
somebody ratted you out.
They said, go ahead and delete the tweet, and your 7-day suspension will start.
Like, no.
Or you can appeal it. I was like, all right, I'm going to appeal this. I said, look, I was being sarcastic, people. I am a white man.
Right.
Oh, no, that doesn't matter. You're still, we're upholding this.
Look at the picture.
Suspension.
It's me.
Unreal, man. It's unreal. These are the people that wouldn't give me a blue check. After I sent them 25 media credentials.
I don't know. I'm glad you like to fight in that jungle, and plenty of our listeners do. And it's just, I don't know if monitor what the president tweets. That's it. I'm not on Twitter because it's a jungle out there.
It is. I like the jungle, though. I'm a jungle kind of guy.
And you saw what happened. This poor guy that did something great for some kids at a hospital said something when he was in school.
It's horrible. We have to get control back, man. We do. Yeah. We have to get control back. And I honestly, I said we're losing, but that's more or less that's a tactical statement, not a strategic one. If you know the difference between strategic and tactical, I'm talking about the fight today and tomorrow. And
they're
I'm
in
saying
double secret probation. Is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that when I say that we're losing, what I mean by that is, come on, folks, step it up. Let's start swinging back, man. Let's take the gloves off. These people are out to kill us. They are out to take us out. Listen to them. Listen to what they say. On Rashida Tlaib's win in her district in Michigan, the first thing she says is, we're going to go to Washington and we're going to impeach the motherfucker.
All right, she's selling T-shirts now.
And she's celebrating in a PLO scarf, in a battle scarf. It's crazy. And if we don't get, but these people that we have in the Republican Party can't fight, man. They can't fight. They can stab their buddy in the back, but they can't fight.
But that's something interesting to look at, is because during the 2016 elections, when you had Detroit, basically gone, and they were talking about bringing in Syrian refugees. Yeah. Bill Clinton's plan, he's like, we're going to place the Syrian refugees in Detroit, revitalize that community. And then I'm thinking about Minneapolis, and I'm thinking
Bill
about
Peduto
other places
did it here.
in Michigan.
Bill Peduto did it in Pittsburgh, and a Syrian refugee that graduated from a Pittsburgh public school high school plotted to bomb a black church. And when he was at court in his trial, he needed a translator. So let
he
me
went
tell
to
you
school
what.
in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, graduated from high schools, can't speak English. I mean, come on, man. To use that's one thing good about Joe Biden. He gave us that. Come on, man. Oh wait,
but that's why you have Ilhan Omar from Minnesota and Tlaib from Michigan. I mean, it's the left destroyed these manufacturing in this country, and they're backfilling it, not with jobs and opportunity. They're backfilling it with refugees and folks that want to take down this form of government.
No, you're right. And I have a call on the line. This is my special line. This is the time travel line. I have a call from 2012 from Pittsburgh. Go ahead.
You got to see Biden. Yes, I did.
You can look at me.
Obama, 2012. He's going to win, baby. He's the man. Biden was down here, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Go, Obama!
What do you like most about the Obama administration?
That, let's see, healthcare.
Yeah.
And schools. And what else do I like about it? I like everything about Obama, basically.
What does it mean to have Biden out here walking?
Greatest day ever to have Biden here, man. That was the best experience ever in my life to see him in person like that.
What through your mind?
Like that.
Oh, yeah. Big time, man. I love Obama, and I love Biden, too. Because Biden's all business. He's all business, and he'll tell you how it is, and that's why I love him so much.
Boy, I appreciate it.
And I love Obama! Yeah! Obama!
Somewhere in Millville, there is a poor bastard that wakes up next to that woman every day.
Is that another vaping victim right there?
I can't get, I've gone and I was going to delete that from my clip master over here so many times, and I just can't do it, man. I cannot get rid of that. It epitomizes the idiots that are amongst us. I'm just saying.
And that's Pittsburgh.
I'm not proud of it.
That's a homegirl from Pittsburgh.
That's it. Yeah. Oh no, they're everywhere, especially in bars at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
Last call for a caller, 412-206-6208. If you call real quick, we'll get you in here. If you've been thinking about calling, now's the time to do it. I'm getting ready to go into winners and losers. And after that, it's pretty much, okay, you lose. You weren't quick enough. No, if you call, I'll take the call. But winners and losers, Jack, it's time.
My winners and losers, I'm just going to go off into the media thing to Fox News. And Hutch touched on it a little bit earlier in his deal with Paul Ryan. But my winners, earlier this week, there was a little fight between Shepard Smith show along with Bing 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 Judge Andrew Napolitano versus Tucker Carlson and Joe DeGeneva, former U.S. attorney, federal guy. And they had it battled out. Shep put on his best crying game and, said it was...
She's horrible, man. She's just terrible.
she's something else. But Joe DeGeneva, when asked by Tucker Carlson about something that Judge Knapp said on Shep's show, Joe DeGeneva basically just said Judge Napolitano is a fool, and what he said is foolish. And that triggered.
And then he laid it out, though.
Yeah, that triggered Shep, though.
It did.
That triggered.
The humanity. Oh, the humanity.
Yes. Oh my gosh, he went out there, and if you can go out there and search it, it's a big deal. He's like, you can't. This Judge Napolitano, he's part of this. He's a professional staff guy with paid consultant, and
You're not exaggerating. You're not exaggerating.
Yeah, I can exaggerate.
Wouldn't even name Tucker.
No. Tucker, when he responded to what Shepard had done the next day, he goes, basically, he's like, well, in the midst of discussing this thing, I guess the host of the news guy in the morning.
Oh, no. Yeah, he was crazy.
I guess he was watching our show.
He ripped him. He's like, one of our daytime hosts. Nobody watches him. One of our
daytime guy. And I asked, I'm not a lawyer, and I asked Joe DeGeneva up for a legal question, and this is what he said, But they go back and forth a little bit about that, and at the end, Joe DeGeneva is basically like, hey, Judge Napolitano has a right to say what he's got an opinion. I got my opinion, but I'm going to tell you right now, Tucker, I'm right.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I watched that too. That was great, man.
You have to watch that back and forth.
You're a loser.
Hey, the winner side, Tucker Carlson, Joe DeGeneva. My loser from the same tete-a-tete, boom, boom, boom. The losers, Miss Shepard Smith and Miss Judge Napolitano.
What happened to him? And we know what happened.
I don't know. Yeah,
He
was calling out the deep state. He called out the GCHQ in Britain, and then all of a sudden he got suspended from Fox, and he came back a whimpering Shepard Smith fanboy.
Judge Napolitano wanted to be a Supreme Court justice, and he still does.
Yeah.
And what DeGeneva called out, DeGeneva called him out and said he's never tried a case, he's never done anything.
Right, he's never done anything federal. He was up for Supreme Court. Trump didn't choose him. Now he hates Trump, and you got to watch it.
And really, that's the same way with Paul Ryan, and it's the same way with Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney thought he should be the Secretary of State, and he'd have got fired quicker than Tillerson.
Oh, we do have to give. We haven't mentioned him, but he did put out an opinion article in Breitbart this week.
Who?
Senator Rand Paul.
I missed it. Go ahead.
It's out there, but he's basically just lays out the frivolity of what the Democrats are trying to pull with this impeachment deal. It's a good op-ed. You don't see him too much from Rand Paul, but I guess he called him. He said, I got something to say. And they said, here, boom.
Jack,
Yes.
frivolity. Good word, man. Right up there with reciprocity. I like that. I like that. And another representative you never heard of, my winner, ladies and gentlemen, Representative Andy Biggs, introduces a motion to censure Adam Schiff. And if you saw Adam Schiff's display of disloyalty and frivolity when he lied to the world, as you heard Jack say, that the people at the EU, in the EU, that's all they heard when they heard reporting on this issue. That was criminal to me. To me, this is an impeachment hearing, and Adam Schiff should resign. The president's right. And this is how you can tell the Democrat Party is such a fraud, and the Republican Party is as well. You got one guy. Let's see what happens. See if it gets any legs. It won't. It won't. The Republicans are not interested. It won't. The Republicans hate Trump, by the way, in case you didn't know that, ladies and gentlemen. There's a few that don't. And there's a lot of them that know that there's 67 million of us, and that was after the last election. I'm going to guess there's 75 million by now. Because you can add a lot of the Hispanics that work. And any American that works, you can almost add them
growing
to us.
It's like $15+ million added to the coffers of the re-election campaign since Nancy
a couple days
pulled her deal,
and $3 million to the Democrat coffers, because there are psychos on that side too, and there's people that are going to lose trillions of dollars. I told you, follow Sundance at the Conservative Treehouse. This is big, big, big money. There's no money bigger in the world than this money we're talking about. My loser is the American people. The Democrats, by doing what they've done in the last week, have robbed the American people of one of the finest performances of any president in the history of the United Nations. He went there, and he's the first president that went there and stood up for America in New York. All the rest of them went there and apologized to Islam, and apologized to Cuba, and apologized to Nicaragua, and apologized to Russia, and apologized to Iran, and everything. Not President Trump. President Trump went to the United Nations, called them out as globalists, said the future does not belong to globalists, does not belong to socialists. He came out and he read them the freaking Riot Act, and Fox News didn't cover a nickel of it because of this bullshit. The losers are the American people. You had did you see any of that speech, Jack?
I watched that speech, and it was.
Did it have you at attention saluting? I mean, I'm telling you, that's the kind of speech it was.
Yeah, that I had posted it in the thing. Pelosi trying to bring up the Constitution at the same time challenging President Trump when he was saying that the United States is a sovereign country and nationalistic, and he embraces countries around the world that want to keep their identity and nationalism. And Pelosi basically saying that it's unconstitutional for Trump to do that globalism is basically Americanism. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
And this is why that I've said for about 2 years now, Western Europe, you can kiss my ass. Eastern Europe is on time. And I know that's crazy coming from a cold warrior. But London has a Muslim mayor, man. I mean, it's like
Eastern.
Go ahead.
The eastern part of the EU are new, right? They broke free from the chains of what was the oppressive USSR.
Hungary, the Czech Republic, Poland. Right. Those are our allies, not England and France and Germany. England, France, and Germany could sink. I don't care what happens to any of them. That's where I'm at.
They voted for Brexit. The citizens of the UK voted to break from the EU before President Trump was elected.
And you can take all of Scandinavia and put them in there with them too.
Trying to figure out what to do there.
You're damn right, man. And that's just the way it is. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming in. Jack, your final comments. We're out of here for this week.
The war has been declared. The battle is joined. We here at Cold War Radio are on the right side of this nation's effort to maintain constitutional integrity. We will win. Thank you for tuning in.
Jack, you're the best co-host for Friday night I could think of. Good job. Ladies and gentlemen, please think about whether or not you want Mona Salama to go to the Values Voters Summit. We're going to give it another week. Not very good response so far. But like I said, I know it's at the end of the month. Do what you can. If I don't see any donations, that makes me think, all right, well, maybe we're going to have to cancel this, man. That's not going to be cool. But we'll do what we got to do. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. Come back on Monday. We'll be here. Actually, stop by on Sunday. Sunday night, we got Rocky's special party line. We're going to talk about food. You might enjoy that. That starts at 7 to midnight on Sunday. WHBJ Digital Talk. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks for letting us into your life for a couple hours. This is go to rsbn.bandcamp.com. Support Jacob Seals, my man. I have to get him back on the show. He's an interesting fellow. Have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr., Studio number 2, Allegheny National Forest. God bless.
reach the heavens, above all the world below. By steel and wood, by sweat and blood, on wings of woven cloth, he set the surly bonds of earth to touch the face of God. The knowing times of trouble, and the devils they may bring, are only thwarted by the will to fight. He raised his mighty wings. Prepare for war, thus guarding peace, for liberty is love. He shall deliver unto evil, death dealt swiftly from above.
I see the enemy amassing their planes for an attack, I'm gonna knock the shit out of them before they take off from the ground. That's the nature of war. If you kill enough of them, they'll stop fighting.
Now I live lean and I'm in to inflict the grief, and the least of me is still out of your reach. The killing machines revving up to speed, and the devil won't dare show face to me. There in the air where the lead won't lie, and the graves I'll dig are a mile wide. Feel no fear, know my pride. For God and country I'll end your life. I am the eagle, I am fighting on. I am a warrior, and this is my song.
went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
I roamed and rambled. I followed my footsteps from the sparkling sands of your diamond desert, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
When the sun comes shining, then I was strolling. The wheat fields waving, the dust clouds rolling. A voice was chanting as the fog was lifting. This land was made for you and me.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. Ali.
Apprentice. Now, Corolla, why did your team lose? Now, hold on a second. And by the way...
Interrupt this program for Obama to say something.
My fellow Americans, I'd like to announce that I'm running for President of America as a black man this time. I did some time in jail. I did some crime with Michelle. We stole some fried watermelon. Yippee-yippee-ki-yay. I'm known to smack up a bitch. I got Kool-Aid in the fridge. I never met my kids. Their real dad is Kanye. Guns, yeah, sold them. Hoes, tricks, yeah, told them. Blood splits, yeah, rolled them. Riding nuts, I hooked them. Hey, bang, hey, I just met you. So please don't tase me. My name's Obama. Was born in Haiti. I still get food stamps. I'm just lazy. I'm still on welfare. So fuck you, baby. They might arrest you, but you could blame me. They'll roll me over, incarcerate me. If I get unemployed, shit don't face me. My name's Obama. I roll with Jeezy. Jeezer? Are you young Jeezer? How'd you get in the White House? I smoke a lot of Newports. I sit a lot on the porch. I stole 2012 Porsche from my neighbor's driveway. I did a lot of drug deals. I killed Osama for trills. I blamed it on Navy SEALs and fucked his bitch sideways. Bro, yeah, I'm holding rocks, weed, meth, heroin, White House garden showing. What you think I'm growing? Daisies? Hey, I'll just make you. So it's okay to see. My name's Obama. I'm half Kuwaiti. It's hard to look.
Hello, you are almost on the air. You are in Q Cold War Radio. Please turn your listening device down, have your first name and location ready, and we will call on you shortly.
You are the first participant on the cable conference. Please hold while we wait to get us to join.
My name's Obama. I'm Pakistani. Before I came in the White House, I used to smoke crack. I used to sow crack. I used to roll so black. I was born in Dubai. I'd like to go back. Where's all my hoes at? Take off your clothes and don't talk back. Now, the American people have a clear choice. Would you like to get smacked with a pimp cane or with the back of my hand? It's hard to look white. I'm smacking ladies, so it's no wonder y'all crackers hate me. Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy. I from my mother. She's a typical white person.
Been negotiating all night.
Let's take a walk. Negotiating what?
Your fucking life.
You're thinking out a fucking cokehead.
Be quiet! Sit down. I said sit down. You know, I've clipped a lot of guys in my life. Close friends. Guys I didn't know. I didn't always agree that the guy should be clipped. But I never questioned the orders. And I never went off half-cocked and clipped somebody I wasn't supposed to. Now you shut up! You just listen. You know, Big Paul went to Don Carlo for permission to have you whacked. It came this close. I told Don Carlo, you were like a son to me. That touched the old man. He told Paul to give you a pass. But if Don Carlo had said, you gotta go, I would have come here today with these 2 zips. And you would go. John, you cannot whack a made man on somebody else's screw. They're rules. You break the rules, and this whole goddamn thing of ours cracks and crumbles. You never break the rules. Capiche?
Capiche.
All right. Let's drink to that. Wipe your face, John. You're sweating up a $100 shirt. Don Carlos says you'll do some time, but he's gonna take care of your family. Here. A la familia. And the rules that hold us together.
A la familia. And the rules that hold us together.
Don't make me do that. Damn, sucker. Get
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we did it. I got the fan on, and I'm not turning it down this time. But Party Line on Friday night, I think it was appropriate. I wasn't ready to get off the radio yet. So what we're going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is bring my co-host back. Jack, hello.
Oh, you want me in here? You had enough, I thought. Yeah.
Well,
hey, but is this cool or what?
It is. And the next place I'm going to go is I'm going to go to Waldorf, Maryland, 240. What's your name and where are you calling from? If you're 240, that's you. Go ahead. Who is it? Somebody's talking to you in your ear, but who's on the phone? 240, that's you, man. 299, that's you. What's up? Come on, man, it's you. All right, we'll get back to you. Go ahead. No, you got it? Okay. Who's on the line? You're a new caller. I love you, man. Who is it? All right. Apparently.
Teresa.
Who?
It's Mrs. C. She
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
My bad. All right, got it.
I'm
Mrs.
really trying to learn your world. I don't understand it just yet. I'm trying, though.
That's okay. That's okay, ma'am. That's fine. I just wanted to know who you were. Thought we had a different caller. I got you in there now. Hopefully it will stick. It should.
I have a kid on one side snoring and a dog on the other, so I'm really working hard here.
Oh, there you go. I know. My dog's my best friend, and he's getting old, man. It's sad. It is. It's starting to hurt me, man. I mean, he's been with me for a long time. Full-blooded black Labrador Retriever. The whole kennel thing and everything. But he's got gray hairs up around his nose, and he's starting to have trouble getting around. He's about 100 and so pounds. Man, I love that dog.
You know, one of the worst things in your life can happen when one of your kids dies and you outlive them. Dogs happen that all the time, and it's sad.
And that's why I give that dog every time I eat, my dog gets some. Every single time. I mean, I can't remember a whole lot of times unless I was at a restaurant or something. But if I'm at home, that dog's eating with me. And,
now you know where my...
Go ahead, Ken.
Real quick. That's where my dad gets that from. It's the PA thing.
Okay.
Continue.
Well, I heard Sean Hannity talking about it one time. And, I'm thinking about my dog, Cole, who's, like I said, a big black lab and loyal to a fault. And he says, well, I'm going to give my dog whatever he wants because they only get to live 1/7 of the time that we do. And you start throwing that 7 in there with his age, and my boy's he's like damn near 70 already. And it's sad. I just love the dog, and I think of dogs, I can't watch those commercials about animal abuse, man. I just can't do it. Let's go over to California and welcome Rocky to the show. Hello, Rocky. We didn't hear from you tonight, so let's hear from you now.
I got all my notes ready, but the sun just went down, and it's too dark to read them. But,
What, the gel cell's not working? What, you didn't charge the gel cells up or what? I know you better than that. You got light. I know you better than that.
The hamsters are on strike.
Yeah. I can talk about Brexit, though, but I've been studying all up on that.
All right. Well, there's a lot of controversy. Well, I don't know about controversy, but there's a lot of stories about that. The people in England, the professionals, have actually ordered extra medicine just in case there was a Brexit move with no deal, which I think there should be. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, on September 9th, they passed, the Parliament passed the Bren Act, and that essentially says we can't do Brexit, we can't do a no-deal Brexit. So they're really trying, I mean, this is the second time they've already extended past when they're supposed to do it. So they just passed that, and then it was right after that Boris Johnson said, hey, let's do the, I don't know what they call it, basically put everybody on vacation for 5 weeks before the Parliament readjourned.
Well, he suspended Parliament, right. And
yeah,
then the UK Supreme Court nullified that.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing, too. The UK Supreme Court, they were only founded in 2009, and I haven't
I didn't know that.
I haven't been able to find out where
that's good information.
Where everybody was appointed from or how they were appointed. That was kind of a weird deal where it looks like, I mean, they're just going along with, they seem like they're Remainers too, so
yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I mean, they're back in Parliament now.
Now they've passed an ordinance that there's a criminal penalty to pay if you deface the EU flag or anything like that. You never heard anything about that, about the English flag, or the French flag or the United States flag, but by God, the EU flag, that sumbitch got to fly.
Yeah, and don't deface the euro.
Right.
The coins or anything. It's to the gallows with you.
That's almost like talking to a trans testicle. Let's go to Ken from King George. Ken, you're up.
Well, I thought the UK still was. They hadn't fully transitioned to the euro. They'll take euros or pounds, correct?
I don't know. I haven't been there ever in my life.
Because I think their currency system is, the last I heard, it's been a long. The last time I was over there was 25 years ago. 26 now.
I've never been there.
50.
Well, no, I shouldn't say I've never been there. I have been there. I was there several times, actually, but only in airports. You know, I was in the Shannon Airport, which my family has big ties to Shannon, Ireland, by the way.
Shannon, Ireland.
Huge ties to Shannon. I mean, their name is Shannon.
The airport bar there is sweet.
Oh, that Irish coffee, man, that motherfucker. Oh, it's got the whipped cream top. You seen it? My battle buddy drank it. I didn't. You know what I mean? I wanted pure bourbon, but he wanted this coffee, and it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place to be after you've been in Saudi Arabia for 8 months.
I'll tell you the best place to be is in the Iraq theater, and you're a CW4. I mean, that was like, I had a good time, dude. I'm telling you, I had a room. I had a room with a water heater. I had a water heater, a shower. I mean, I'm telling you, I lived good, and I'm not ashamed of it. Good.
No, we ended up. I was part of the 50th anniversary of D-Day Fleet, and we ended up pulling into Portsmouth, England for, I think it was like 2 days. And one of the days, I don't know, a lot of weird stuff went on, and they were like, "Oh, you got to get all this maintenance done." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm getting tomorrow. I got all day." No, we want it all done right now. So I didn't get to see a whole lot of Portsmouth, England, but we did have a lot of fun. Brit sailors are fun to drink with because they're like, "Oh, matey, come on over here. You got to try one of these." You know, and I'm like, "What the hell is it?" They're like, "It's a John Smith." So I'm like, "All right."
I drank with some SAS guys. I drank with some SAS guys one time, but that was in the United States, and I got one of their patches. I wish I still had it. It's kind of like yours, Rocky. You know, it's kind of like the Anglico one, but this one was like those who dare soar. So there was whatever the British SAS, Special Air Service, whatever their motto is, it was on this patch. And those are some badass dudes. I don't know if you ever ran into them, Rocky, the SAS guys from England, but I'm gonna tell you what. If you go look for a movie called The Final Option, it's called The Final Option. And it was made, I was in Korea. It was probably made in 83 or 84, maybe 82. But
the Special Air Service, their motto is "Who dares wins."
That's what was on it, man. That's what was on it. They gave me that in a bar in Pennsylvania. It was awesome because I knew about them before that.
I was attached to the 3 Para 16 air assault in Iraq, so they just had a little square patch on their shoulder that was either, I mean, they had the jump wings,
right,
and the maroon berets.
I'm trying to remember this place in Iraq. It was in the south of Iraq where the maintenance company, what was it? The 570, whatever. There was a maintenance company that took a wrong turn in Nasiriyah. And that's when the female got captured, if you remember at the beginning. Jessica Lynch, I think was her name.
I got a little south of there before we headed east to Basra. So I didn't get up to Nasiriyah on that side, but along the Iranian border, we were almost up parallel to Baghdad.
What was the name of the American base there? I'm trying to remember because I had a brigade there and I visited there, and I actually stayed there right before an attack. But they had a civilian, a French, I guess family or whatever, but they had a restaurant there, and it was pretty good. The Australians were all out in front of this place, and it had camouflage netting over it, but they had a big fire pit, and they were all smoking that hookah stuff. All these Australian soldiers, they got these big ass hookah pipes out there. I'm looking for some food. I just wanted.
There's no wonder why you forgot the name of the place, Hutch.
I didn't touch that stuff. Believe me, I didn't touch that. I'm trying to remember the name of the damn place, and I can't. But like I said, it was down there, and it was, what was the biblical article that was down there, Rocky?
Babylon?
Yeah, but that big-ass building. There was a big concrete building, Ica something. I don't remember, but it was down there, and it was the 7th Sustainment Brigade was down there, and the 1st of the 82nd Airborne was there. Those were my units. I keep wanting to say Al-Assad, and it's not. Al-Assad's over by Syria. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
When I was there, we didn't have any established bases yet because I was there right when we invaded. So,
all right, let's go to Marlene. We got to give Marlene a chance to talk. Marlene, what's on your mind?
Oh, I'm just listening to all this Army talk. It's interesting, and I don't know. As far as the whole thing with Brexit, I haven't been following it a lot. I hear little bits and snippets, but I don't really understand. I know in general what they're trying to do, but as far
it's kind of what they did out in California. The governor or the people voted for something, and the court stopped it. The people voted for Brexit to get the hell out of the EU and be their own country again. All the bureaucracy's stopping it. It's crazy. It's like Jack was saying. It's the globalists trying to hold on to power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think they actually do use the euro and I think both the pound too, because I hear so many references to how things are so many pounds. I rarely hear anything about a euro over there. But I don't know. I'd have to ask in radio. He would know that more than I would.
All right, Rocky, take over the call.
Okay. Well, I know they only started using the euro in '99, and I think they pretty much, the UK is kind of, I think they're the only one that really hasn't fully adapted it, because they can still be. I think they have to accept both. But if you go to a shop or anything, you're gonna get pounds back instead of euros. And then the other countries, I think they can kind of do the same thing, but most of them just said screw it and they go with the euro.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know when we flew into Heathrow, I put everything on a credit card, so you're up to the, your bank I bought cup of coffee because it was 6 a.m, and then I was kind of hungry because it would have been technically midnight here. It was a 6-hour flight from Dallas to Heathrow. So I was like, hey, while we're in England, let's get some fish and chips for breakfast. So, and a Bloody Mary. Gotta have a Bloody Mary.
For breakfast.
Yeah. Oh, God, I can't do that for breakfast, Jim.
For breakfast, man.
No.
I'm like, no, too.
There. But this was after a 6-hour flight, so it was technically a midnight snack. But,
Fish and chips compared to a full-on English breakfast, though, is kind of light, if you think about it.
Well, yeah, that's true. But we didn't have a whole lot of time before connecting flight into where were we going? Denmark. So, like I said, we had fish and chips. Well, we were going through the whole plane, train, or subway thing, whatever. And, every door you go through is like, stop, get some fish and chips. And I was like, all right, we're getting fish and chips. So
there you go.
Douse it in plenty of malt vinegar and
malt liquor. Yeah, so what I was talking about, the base I was talking about, Rocky, was Camp Adder. It was actually at Talil Air Base in the South, right in Nasiriyah. Just had to throw that in there. Mrs. Ken Crater, what's on your mind? I know you're sitting there listening going, what are these guys talking about? But you've been listening to what's been going on in the media and, listen to the show. What's on your mind? She quit listening, Ken.
I pretty much don't pay
Oh, there
attention
she
to
is.
much
There
of the show.
she is. Good.
You all actually, I can't keep track of what all you all talk about.
Well, what's on your mind? Don't worry about us.
So I was inside watching First Night. Have you
Okay.
ever watched the movie?
I did not. What's it about?
No, it's more about chivalry. It's not King Arthur, but it's about an age where people actually did right and were honorable.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like those kind of shows.
Life is totally different now. I grew up in a wrong age, I think. I really did.
Really? But I'll bet you could gather some of that energy and help us out today.
I don't think so.
No, I do.
No.
You're listening to the show, so I think you could at least, you're on the right track. You're not listening to people that are lying to you, because I've never lied to you. I might have made a mistake, but I never lied, and I don't think I would never stand for that if any of my co-hosts
No.
lied.
I think in the 2, maybe 3 times we've met, you've been a person I would like to hang out with.
Well, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I do really wish the world could learn a lot from the military and from the way things were. I watch these movies; they're very entertaining to me. I wouldn't want to live in a world where where disease and famine were the way of it. But oh my gosh, I mean, they live with honor. What a different place.
All right. Well, let me try to do something with that. Just so you understand, and this is for everybody. I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to everybody that's listening. The default position on the earth, on the planet that we live on, has always been and is to this day gulags, jail, poverty, and tyranny. And that is the root of the term American exceptionalism.
Okay,
A lot of people.
What is a gulag?
A gulag is a Soviet Russian prison camp
Okay.
where political people like me, if we were under Soviet Russian rule, people like me would be in the gulag. You wouldn't be able to hear me.
Right. And you and everybody that listens to you.
Right.
Right.
Anybody
And
that
you
had
go to
anything with my name on it would be in the gulag. That's absolutely right. And what I'm saying is that America is the first and only country, including England. Just ask Tommy Robinson, where that is not the norm. And this is where the term American exceptionalism comes in. And you get a moron, uneducated communist like Obama, and he says, well, sure, America's exceptional, and so is Guyana, and so is whatever. No, that's not what that means. What it means is our rights come from God, from our Creator, not from the king. And we are the only country like that. We are also the only country that has a First and Second Amendment, which are both under attack. We're going to win.
Constantly.
We're going to win. But we have to understand what we're fighting for. Jack?
Yeah, we the First and Second Amendment, what you're talking about, the founding of this country, the way we broke free from the monarchy. You're talking about England at the time was a colonial aspiration, right? And they were, if you look at the history of Australia, the United States in the beginning was basically that. The unwanted, the people, the prisoners sentenced, they put them on a ship and send them to the United States.
Why did they run? They ran because England had a government church, the Church of England, King Edward. Right. And if you were not a dues-paying member of that cabal, you were the people that got on the ships to America.
Right. It was no freedom of religion. It was the government, the church. They mandated. That's what's missing in education these days. When I went, and I'm 54 years old. When I went through elementary, and middle school, and high school, we learned about how this great nation was created. The reason why we broke free from the chains that Joe Biden likes to wield of Europe. Europe. Everything that in Europe, they have thousands of years of this building up. We were a brand new creation. The elites like to call us the grand experiment because in their mind, we would have failed within the first 50, 40 years. But no, we're what? We're reaching on towards 300. Now, those folks over there are trying their damnedest with the help of bought and paid for folks embedded in our government, trying to turn over and have us rejoin the system that our forefathers fought and died for to escape. We
Absolutely.
are the best nation in the United States, or in the world.
Absolutely. And Marlene, let me talk to the point of, if you really look at our history and you look at where we were in the 1700s, the late 1700s, and you look at the multiple threats, don't forget, this is before Andrew Jackson's Manifest Destiny push to the West and the decimation of the Indians, if you will. This is before that, well before that. And here we are in 13 colonies in, what is to become the United States, and we are ruled by King Edward and England. We have no navy. We have no navy. We have no serious industry yet. We can make whiskey, for sure. And we do have some industry. But we're taxed to the T.
That was the other thing I was going to bring up, was the whole thing about being taxed. I think that was the other part of why we wanted to get away from England, because they were taxing the hell out of us.
Well, the biggest thing was they were coming into our houses. That's what and you can see that in the Constitution in the Fourth Amendment, I believe.
Right.
They were coming into our cribs, man. Like me and my wife and my kids, and here comes a squad of infantry from England, and they want everything I got.
Yeah. They want everything you got, and they tell you to get the hell out.
And let's go from that and say that if it wasn't for God, how did we beat a country that had the biggest navy in the world and we didn't have a sailboat? How did we do that if it wasn't for God?
Exactly, because you look back in the Bible, look at all those Old Testament battles. The way those people won was they followed the Lord. They followed
it's the only way.
They did what He told them. Exactly.
Pennsylvania in the wintertime and no shoes. Pennsylvania in the winter, crossing the rivers where I live today.
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you, man. This is who carried the boat. There wasn't any trucks. So who carried the boat?
Not good.
Where did the boat come from? Did they bring it from Delaware? That means somebody carried it. I mean,
they had to.
It's amazing when you think about it. When you think about the bigness of it. You know, Rocky, your thoughts?
What you were talking about, it reminded me of Brexit again and their 10-year-old Supreme Court. The one case that they cited for proroguing, that's their word for suspending Parliament, proroguing.
Okay.
The one case they cited in their whole decision was from 1611, and it wasn't until the 1680s that proroguing actually became a right written into their.
Spell that word out for us, because I just have to. I got to put it up there with reciprocity. And go ahead.
I couldn't think of it earlier because I'd never heard it before.
I never did either. I love new knowledge. Come on, man, spell it.
Well, I've heard it. Prorogue.
P-R-O.
R-O-G-U-E.
Pierogi. Pierogu.
That's food.
Sounds like frozen.
I'm trying.
Food.
I'm trying, man.
Prorogue, but the action is proroguing. So, I mean, to discontinue a session of a parliament or other legislative assembly without dissolving it.
Okay. And that's what he did, man. I mean, but he got jacked. So they're back in session now, right?
Yes.
That's wrong, man. I mean, this whole, one thing, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm coming to you, Mrs. Ken Crater, next. You tell me what you want me to call you, but that's what's on the thing. But I got to tell you, watch these people, man. This is something that these word changes and things are. This is going to be fun. Go ahead, Camelot, Madam Camelot.
Yes, I was actually paying attention. So, although it's earlier what you were talking about, I have a friend who is trying to become a United States citizen.
All right.
And she's been going over the test she has to take next week.
What nationality is she?
UK.
Huh? Ukraine?
She's from the UK.
Oh, okay.
United Kingdom.
All right, got it.
I don't know. When she was asking me these questions, I actually stuttered on many of the questions she asked. It's scary. It's kind of
So you're saying you're saying if you're white and you want to come into the country, you got to answer questions. Because I don't think they're doing that. I don't think they're doing that from any of these other groups.
No, I think it's from any. I don't know. I assumed it was a citizenship test. You take it if you want to become a citizen.
All right.
I just know that me being a U.S. citizen, I could not answer all the questions she asked me.
Do you have any of them?
No, we were driving
it's tough.
To the bar.
It's a tough thing. I can give you some what do you call it? Good feelings of it. My mom, she's from Okinawa. I'm 54 years old, and when she was 84 years old, she studied for this test. It's many of the questions. It's like, wait a minute, we as Americans living a life, going through school, going into high school, going and have to decide if we're going to college or going.
Somebody bring the questions. Somebody out there get the questions.
No,
somebody that's on the call.
A lot of folks in America can't answer those questions.
I know. I want to hear them. I know.
My mom went there. Passed 100%. She's an American. As long as you're put in, if your friend has done that, because there's plenty of materials out there, to focus on what makes you a citizen of the United States. To do it, she'll be, she's going to be like you are now. Is like she's going to ask you, and you're going to like, wait a minute.
Right, she's going to be right. She's going to be in charge.
She studied it.
That's cool,
she
though.
Studied it. She knows it.
That's right. I just wish somebody come up with I want to see if I can answer them. That's the only reason I want to see the questions. I just want to see if I can answer
questions.
Yeah,
Rocky.
It was interesting.
I thought somebody was going to
She actually asked a question.
Go ahead.
He actually asked the questions. There are some questions, and I believe it's an interview. And I'm not positive. I really, truly wish I could sit through it to see what they have to go through.
Me too.
She said it's going to be an interview, and the way they worded the questions were a little bit misleading.
No
but
doubt.
Some of them were about constitutional rights, and some of them are about, it was very misleading the way they asked them, and I kind of feel a little bit bad for these people because I think people that really want to do this and want to go through this are at a bit of a disadvantage as opposed to the ones that come here and just jump the border and do whatever the hell they want. Whatever they want to do.
Right, and those are the people that are screwing it up for everybody else. I'm kind of disappointed. Yeah. I got Marlene and Rocky and Ken and Jack. Oh no, Jack has it. Jack has it. Here it is. Wait a minute. Let's see. The 100 Civics. All right, let's see. Hold on. Principles of American Democracy. What is the supreme law of the land? All right, let's put that out to the panel. I'm going to say the Constitution.
Ken cannot answer it.
Huh?
I have Ken's computer, so Ken will not be answering, I'm sure.
Anybody else?
I would go with the Constitution is the supreme law of the land.
And that is the correct answer.
Yep.
Number 2, what does the Constitution do? It's actually it's a multiple choice, and I don't agree with any of the answers. But here are the 3 answers. One's close. Here's the 3 answers: sets up the government, 2, defines the government, and 3, protects basic rights of Americans.
3.
Go.
I would say 2. It defines the government, but they don't get specific enough as to it defines the government to the point where it limits the government's power over the people.
Now, see, that would be my answer. My answer would be protects the country from the government.
And I have to just on the record recuse myself because my mom took this test and is now a citizen. Thank you.
All right. All right. And there's a couple answers in there that could be right because it does define the government. It does define the government. It does not set up the government. Bullets did that. But it protects the rights of Americans. That's true, too. But an answer to me would be protects the American people from the government. Anyway, number 3, the idea of self-government is in the first 3 words of the Constitution. What are these words? Go.
We the people.
Winner, we the people. That is correct. I agree with that too. Number 4, what is an amendment?
In addition.
Okay, it's an addition to the Constitution, but it needs ratification from
it's an adjustment.
2/3 of Congress and also 2/3 of the states, I believe.
I think it's 3/4 of the states, but yeah.
3/4 of the states, yeah.
No, that is correct. What do we call the first 10 amendments to the Constitution? Go.
The Bill of Rights.
Bill of Rights.
Correct. And without that Bill of Rights, the Constitution would have never been ratified. That was an afterthought.
True.
Okay, what is the one right or freedom from the First Amendment?
Persecution from the government.
One word. Speech. There it is. That's the winner.
Yeah.
That's the winner.
Oh, disregard.
And that is, among everything that's going on now. Think about that. This sucker's under assault, man. From our universities and our, not just universities, grade schools now. It's nuts. Number 7. Go. Go ahead, Ken.
And even social media. I mean, if you look at
that too,
you're kicked off Twitter right now.
Yes, I am. because
you
I
said something that
sarcastically.
hurt somebody's feelings. Right. And
No, I was winning an argument, and a Democrat knocked me out. I know what happened. That's all right. I can fight. See, the Republican senators can't fight. I can fight. No problem. I got your 7 days, man. No problem about that. How many amendments does the Constitution have?
20.
All right, you're not. You're close. You're close. 27. 27. And we should go down and talk about what those are and get rid of the 16th Amendment, where we had a popular vote for the Senate. But
17th.
anyway.
That's the 17th. 17th.
Okay, 17th. What's the 16th?
I know it's 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Don't start no shit, man. What do you got?
Having stepson in here because stepson can quote.
All right, it doesn't matter. All right, look. Let's go here. All right, let's do this. What are 2 of the rights that are bestowed upon us in the Declaration of Independence? There's 3 of them. There's 3. Give me 2 out of 3.
Life and liberty. Pursuit of.
That's it. You guys all got it. Do you know what right was pondered at that time when they were writing this? There was an additional right that was being pondered, and it did not make it into there. Yep, the right to property. That is exactly right. And it never made it in there, and eminent domain has been ruling ever since. That being said, I'm not so sure that's a bad thing. You guys, what do you think about eminent domain? I mean, I know that it's sucks to be you if you're the guy with the property, but if an interstate's coming through or a hospital's going up, I know there was some controversy when a local government exercised eminent domain because of tax revenue that could come in, and I think that was hideous. But as far as the eminent domain in our society, what do you guys think about it?
Well, actually, can we back up just 1 second? Okay, so remember I was telling you about the Pakistani Democrat that's running here?
Yes.
Right? So they have twisted this whole life part of the life, liberty, pursuit of happiness to life now being part of health care. Even though our governor down here, and Jack can attest to this, Mr. Governor Gosnell down here, doesn't believe in life.
Damn. That was hard, man. That was hard.
True.
Okay, I got it. Go ahead.
So now, as far as eminent domain, all right, we live on a private road, all right? Now, I don't know how eminent domain falls into this at the county level, but there's 7 other houses past ours. So there's an easement to allow the people egress to their property that basically cuts through ours. Now that became a big freaking mess when we went to refinance the house, put me on the title after we got married. My wife can kind of explain that a little better, but they were looking for somebody to maintain the road, and we're like, because the realtor, whoever was doing the loan paperwork, they're like, well, you need to have a contract written up, and somebody needs to maintain the road. She's like, well, we got a tractor. We maintain the road. If I don't do it, the neighbor does. I usually do the snow removal because I'm more of a slop rider, and the neighbor actually knows what the hell he's doing. So when I screw everything up on the road, he comes out and fixes it. So, but
what you're talking about is you have an easement by law, right? To somebody has a property, and there's an easement through your property to there, and they're trying to say that you need to maintain the proper movability through your own property to make sure that they can just go back and forth between their house and the road through your property, and it's your responsibility to make sure that it's as easy as possible?
Baby, can you help me out here? I
mean, to me,
hold on. We're going back.
The easement,
stop.
Through your property should be that you're allowing them to go through. That's it.
Jack, stop. We're going back to the Constitution. I wanted to talk about the Constitution, not about Virginia local. If the president,
right?
No. If both the president and the vice president can no longer serve, who becomes the president?
Speaker of the House.
Nancy Pelosi.
Alexander Haig.
Nice. All right. Good stuff.
No, but it's Nancy.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, all right, that's a stupid
And
question. There's a lot of dumb questions on there, man. I'm scrolling. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right. What does the judicial branch do?
They're supposed to decide, interpret law, but whether they do that, they don't.
What they're supposed to do is decide if a law goes against the Constitution. They don't really do that anymore. It's more political.
No, they don't.
That's where we got Roe v. Wade, and that means abortion is legal, or gay marriage is legal. No, that was a judicial decision.
It's what they call legislating from the bench.
All right, here's an interesting question, especially realizing, we were talking during the show about how Jack and I were talking about how recent, so many of these aspects of our life are. And I would go to the Department of Education, the federal Department of Education, which was construed by communist Jimmy Carter in 1973, something that Ward Miller has been crazy about for years. Under our Constitution, some powers belong to the states. What is one power of the states? I'll give you 5. Provide schooling and education. Provide protection, in parentheses, police. Provide safety, in parentheses, fire department. Give driver's license and approve zoning and land use.
That's a right?
Yeah.
No, I never said anything about a right. Now listen. I said under our Constitution, some powers belong to the states. What is one power of the state? I never mentioned rights. I was just saying that
the National Guard.
These are some of the things that the state is supposed to manage, and the reason I said it is because look at the encroachment of the federal government into states doing these tasks, especially with the schooling and education. That's why I prefaced it with the Department of Education standing up in 1973.
When did government cheese show up in our schools?
That was in the 80s.
Think about it. Think about it.
It was in the 80s. I can't remember.
Right. So that's sort of like a dial indicator of when the federal government basically took over from the state's rights to educate our own children.
So one one state right that I believe would be applicable. They have the right to deploy their state National Guard. Right?
That used to be the way, right?
Well, I mean,
I gotta
Larry
turn
Hogan
this
threatened to do it over here in Maryland during the riots in Baltimore, and the mayor finally was like, "Okay, well, he said."
All right, we're going to take it around. We're going to take it around the room one more time, and then we're going to close it down. It's starting to get cold in the studio over here. Jack, we're going to go to you first. Your final comments, and then we're going.
I just wanted a final comment. It's a wonderful night. Thank you all for tuning in. I mean, our country is at risk right now. Forces above our Constitution think that it's a joke, and they think they can
what it is,
just
too.
basically take our country away from us. Don't let it happen. Tuning into this show is one step towards saving the United States of America. Tell your friends, tune in to Cold War Radio.
Thank you, Jack. You're so correct in that. Mrs. Ken Crater, Madam Camelot, you're up next.
This is like Jeopardy, and I'm looking for the answers, and I can't find anything right now. The only thing I found about is to regulate drinking laws.
Well, we hope that we're helping you, at least helping you try to make sense of it all. That's all I can say.
No, it's a good relaxation thing. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We're going to be okay, believe me. Marlene, you're next.
Oh, well, I will
Damn,
admit,
you sound bummed out.
I, myself, out here in Oregon, I hate eminent domain because I think out here it's called more state government control.
Okay, I
over
got that.
you and what you can do with your land or with your property. Ridiculous.
I agree, and they're tyrants out there, and this is why.
Bet your bippy they are. Like, yeah.
Bet your bippy, man. I haven't heard that since Rowan and Martin's Laughing.
Yeah, I love that show.
You remember that show? You must have if you said that.
Yes. Oh yeah, I do. And I met my dad. I used to watch it. Dad and I used to watch
Me
it.
too.
Quiet.
Oh, it was great.
I loved it.
Be very, very quiet. No,
I love it.
no, that Nazi guy. Remember?
Oh, yes, I love that.
Artie something. Artie Sherman or
Artie Johnson.
Artie Johnson.
Artie
There you
Johnson.
go. There it is.
Yeah.
You know, Dan Rowan got in a lot of trouble with Sam Giancana of the
No
Chicago.
kidding. I was reading about that.
Did you?
I read
Well,
about that, yeah.
in the that book, the novel, book by Sam Giancana Jr.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I read it too. See, I told you I read it.
I know, and I'm starting to read this other one. It's called The Five Families.
All right.
More about the New York. It's good.
I know. I've read them
one
all.
thing that-
I've read them all.
Have you read that one too?
Yeah,
You probably have.
I have.
I like that one because it talks about how the mafia actually got started in the beginning. That part's kind of cool. The rest of it,
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way. It's the same way that, you look at right now, you've got these, this illegal alien influx that we have. And it's the same way every single community, whether it be El Salvadorian, Puerto Rican, it doesn't matter. But the gangsters from that community exploit them every time. It just it never changes.
They did. No, it's still going on.
It is. Hey, thanks for calling, Marlene. Have a great weekend.
You're welcome.
All right. Let's go to Ken, man. Ken, what's up? The final comments.
So to kind of comment on what Marlene was saying, you give a leftist a symbol full of power, they'll abuse it every time.
No
but
doubt.
You started out the show talking about dogs, and
okay,
man, I had this really cool golden retriever that was given to me for free.
Right.
And it was now we have another one now, but this one's not quite like the one.
Don't make me cry, man. Don't make me cry. My dog's old. Good.
I know. Well, when he got when he was young, I used to have a little 93 Ranger. So when I picked him up, this lady that I got him from, she got divorced. Her mother was allergic to dogs. She had moved in with her mom. Couldn't have the dog. And when my buddy called me up, he was like, "Hey, man, you looking for a golden retriever?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I wouldn't mind having one." He says, "All you got to do is go down to Colonial Beach, pick it up." And this dog pretty much fell in love with the truck instantly, the little truck. Well, fast forward a couple of years, ended up getting into a car accident. Over this little Saturn I had, I bought an F-150. It's 95. I still have it, and I'm trying to do some restoration work on it because it's got some mileage on it. But this dog, you throw this dog in this truck, I didn't need a security system because this dog, if you got within 5 feet of this thing, the dog would rip your face off.
Hey, let me tell you something, Ken. This story was so poignant that your wife came back on. Go ahead. Go ahead. I see you out there. Talk about the dog.
But
no, I'm talking to your wife now. Now, Miss Camelot came right back on. So I'm guessing you want to talk about the dog.
But yeah, I miss it.
I guess not.
To this day, I still miss it. So
I hear you.
I mean, I did. I was in Advanced Auto Parts. I used to keep the windows down, and some guy come walking in there, and he was giving me a bunch of grief. Well, he just kind of, I don't know who's got this dog out here in this truck, but I'm like, well, that meant you were too close to the truck. If the dog would have bit you, he's like, if the dog would have bit me, I'd own that truck. That would have meant you were too close to it.
I hear you. And my dog is the exact same way. But you know what? He would never mess. I'll bet he has 1,000 friends of people that he's met at my house, or whatever, just over the years. If you come in fighting, he's going to kill you. But almost nobody has ever seen that in my dog except me. You know what I mean? Because he's a friend to everybody.
Oh, yeah. Well, I ended up rebuilding the transmission. When I did that, I put one of those 8-pillar gauge pod things with. There's still a tooth mark in one of the gauge pedals where he was like,
oh, no. My dog went off on a couple people, but not a whole lot. And never.
But he only did it when he was in the truck. That was the weirdest thing. Because I would let him out of the truck, and he'd tails wagging. Except for when my buddy went over, opened the truck door, and he was like, what? I'm like, oh my God, what the hell your problem is, man? He goes, I just walked over and opened the door. The dog was...
So the show's supposed to go to 10 o'clock. Was it worth it to take it to 11:20?
Oh my God, it's that late already? I'm outside because she was inside with this phone on speaker, and I'm like, this is going to cause feedback, and so I've been outside. I have no idea what time it is.
No, I'm just saying, was it a good extension of the show?
Oh, of course. I mean,
All right, Ken. Hey, man, thanks for calling. Listen out.
Hey, and I'm glad Rocky was,
he's coming up next. He's coming up. Oh shit! I can't. I didn't mean to cut him off, man. I was going to let him go, but I did. My finger went bing, and he was gone. Rocky, it's you and me, brother. It's you and me, man. What's going on? What's going on?
I just wanted to say this has been a great party line, and I love talking to everybody, and I hope that everybody will tune in 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday.
We're going food, man. We're going food on the party line.
Let's go with that.
We'll see how that works, man. We're going to see if you're listening to the show on the podcast or not, because there's a lot of time between now and Sunday. And incidentally, I will say, if you want Mona to go to the Values Voters Summit, you better get to the donate button, man, because it's not looking good. It's not. It's really not. And we're kind of set up for CPAC, but if I don't have a lot of enthusiasm to get Mona to the Values Voters Summit, I'm starting to think maybe I got to return this funding for CPAC. I don't know. We'll see. I know that we're at the end of the month, but we'll figure it out. But that's the reality, Rocky. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, we need to get the word out.
And there it is. I mean, we've told you. I mean, did you hear that guest list, man? That's a good guest list. I mean, the president might even be there. How would that be? Bill Bennett and, all kinds of people. David Horowitz. I mean, that's a great interview. Anyway, so give me some final thoughts. We're going to close the show down. We're getting ready to get out of here. It's 11:30. We're closing out September, getting ready to get into October. The Democrats are going crazy. Your final thoughts.
That's all I got. Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming out.
There it is. All right, my man, Rocky, California. WHBJ coming up next on Sunday, 1900 hours, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Don't miss it. I mean, we'll have Steel City Resistance. I wish we could have Mark Schwartz, but man, it's not going to work. He put it on a platform. I can't get the show. But we will have Steel City Resistance and True Crime Historian. Maybe a little A Radio. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. I'm going back to Pittsburgh, though. I know that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. This is Cold War Radio on a Friday night special weekend edition. Good night, and God bless. Special shout out, rspn.bandcamp.com. Jacob Seals, ladies and gentlemen, go there. Buy the music.